And we got the clap noise in there. Let's go. I'm glad you reminded me because I had already forgot about it.
I feel like just that's got to be huge for trying to edit and something easy to just look at and hear it and you go, boom, that's where it is.
That was a thing of trying to sync up the sounds because, like, I don't know if I even got it perfectly, but it's enough. It's not like people can see our mouths really close.
I think,
So
the key is knowing, like, people aren't watching to be like, are their mouths synced up perfectly?
Yeah. Well, at first when I was doing it, it was off by like a half a second, so it sounded like an echo.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh man, I gotta figure out how to dial this thing in. But
I guess that's true. How do you do it? Do you edit with just like a sound, like you just have an audio file?
Yep, I have the audio file, and then I have the video file, and then the clap is for it because you see it on the wave, on the.
Oh,
you see
the
it
spike in the sound.
Don't know what it's called, whatever it is. You see the spike, so you can sync it up with that. And Adobe has a thing where you can auto sync it. But if there's not like a really distinct noise or sound or something that you want to do it to, then it's kind of.
I have no idea.
It's a little bit harder, but
fair enough.
We got it figured out. It took me 10 hours to upload it. Hopefully, I can upload it quicker this time. I'll be doing that tomorrow while I'm watching football. I forgot I can't lock these chairs, so I just.
Yeah.
This is why my head was cut off last time, but I think it's okay.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the one thing to fix was just getting you into frame more.
Yeah. I had the back of my bald head cut off. I guess I'm wearing the hat now anyways, but we started recording and then we had to stop and do it again because I have a little surprise for Cody. The reason I know it's so exciting. So last weekend, and the reason that we didn't record a podcast was because we went to Canada.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was a really good time. It wasn't the best time to start the podcast because then we missed a week right off the bat. But
dude, all of our weekly viewers, I'm so sorry, guys.
I know. Consistency is key, though.
We missed it.
Yeah, but it'll be more consistent from this point on. I kind of knew that was going to happen because I knew that Canada was coming up, and I was like, whatever. Because what does everybody say when you want to do something? Just do it,
dude.
Nike
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, Nike. That's what all the motivational entrepreneurial dudes will tell you. They're like, you got to just get out there and do it. And I remember always thinking when I was younger, when I first started watching that stuff, I'm like, I don't know what to do though. You're telling me because I didn't have any any goals for anything that I wanted. I was like, I just want to make some money, and they're like, well, just get out there and do it. I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to
just give me money?
What do you want me to do?
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like okay. So
that made sense. We had to go do that anyway.
Sticking on the theme of Canada here, which was really fun, by the way. I know you left early.
Still had a blast either way.
I was smoked. So we went hiking. That was the whole reason that so we went to Banff. If you're familiar with Banff, it's up in Canada, up in the Rockies. Super cool, really dope. Gorgeous. One of our good friends, Tanner. Shout out Tanner. You better be watching this.
Shout out.
He got married up there, which is one of the coolest wedding venues I have ever seen, hands down. I mean, it's really just a ledge of grass, but
clearly,
it's awesome.
Clearly picked the perfect spot for weddings and events and things with the backdrop that's like I don't know. It's always pictures don't do it justice. And videos I show my parents, I'm like, it really doesn't put into perspective when you walk up and you're like, this is just how this place looks. All the time. It just looks insanely gorgeous.
In person,
everywhere.
It looks fake. It's one of those things where you kind of get vertigo when you look at it. And even on the hikes that we went in, and the view of his wedding venue, and you look at it, it looks fake and like somebody drew it.
You're right.
Like it's so crazy.
The mountains are so big. You look up and you're right, like almost vertigo where you're like, I know I'm looking at it. I know I see it. But even when you're like close to a mountain, you're like, but it's so... Like, it's nothing like, obviously, we have Mount Spokane, but the easy comparison, like, that's a hill in comparison to, like, actual mountains out there, but so gorgeous.
Yeah, we don't got...
I'll go back.
We don't got real mountains like that. The sky was really big, but it's not nearly as big as the sky.
It's not...
Sky, Montana.
It's not the biggest sky by any means. I've seen it, and I know what the big sky looks like.
We all know what the real big sky is. So that was really fun, and I went on the hike because that's why we wanted to stay later. You left earlier, went back with Ian, but we stayed later because we wanted to go on these hikes. Mm-hmm. I was smoked. I wasn't even hungover at this point because I didn't really drink. I had like 2 beers the day after the wedding. Mayo and I watched the OSU football game where they scored 70 points. Let's go, Cougs.
70? I didn't even see that final
They scored 70 to 30.
Oh, my. Who did they play?
Portland State? It was Portland State.
I mean, either way.
Because they're doing that cliche shit-talking things like Portland isn't even a state.
Okay,
that's the classic, yeah.
But I mean, putting 70 up on anyone,
it was pretty sick. I was like, oh, okay, we got to see what WSU is gonna do now that the Pac-12 is gone. So they ended up putting up 70. I'm like, okay, that's cool. They can blow out a team.
There's so much potential to reorganize. Like the Pac-12 is gonna dissipate. There's like 2 teams, them and Oregon State. But it's even just playing college football on my Xbox is like me and my brother rebuilt the Pac-12. And we did it in a way, I'm like, we split it into divisions, even a North and a South. geographically made it to where we had like 7 and 8 teams, and it works. It's like pretty decently matched up, and I was like, this is gonna happen soon.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's already happening. So it just sucks when as much as I'm gonna like crap on WSU just because it's easy and fun too, and I'm not like from here, I still would never want any Pac-12 teams to just like not exist.
Yeah.
That's just bad for football.
And that's where it's going.
Yeah.
But with that, like
They won't disappear though, never. Like obviously, it's just depending on what conference they go to.
yeah. But going into that, so we watched them. They put up 70 points at the bar. Mayo and I had like 2 beers. We went on a little hike that day after, which was pretty fun. There was a river crossing, fucked up our feet walking in the rocks. It sucked, but it was pretty fun. We got a picture of us. So I actually might add in the picture into the podcast video here. It's me, Mayo, John, and Matt and Gavin, I think, all standing in the lake with our arms up doing the Tuscan Raider noise.
Oh,
it's just a picture.
I think I saw that on someone's
doing.
story and
Yeah.
knew exactly what
We're all
was
going,
happening. I just saw this with 2 people. I'm like, I can hear it. I know what's going on.
Mayo definitely made that the theme of the trip.
Yeah.
Was doing the Tuscan Raider and the Donald Trump voice. Nobody's been a Tuscan Raider like us.
All it
Not
takes
one.
one person to do a Trump impression, and then there's like 4, 5, 6 of us for at least the next 2 hours, where that's maybe all you hear.
It wasn't even bad outside of that. When we were golfing, because me, Mayo, and John went golfing, it was nonstop them,
Contained.
John and Mayo talking like that. It was egregious, but it was hilarious. It was a great time.
This is the best shot you've ever seen.
Yep. Nobody's been golfing like us. Nobody's hit a better drive. I've seen your swing. It's a terrible swing. So that was pretty fun. And then that carried on over into the other stuff. So we go hiking after the wedding the next day. A little bit hungover that day, but not too bad. And then the day after, I'm not hungover, but I am fucking smoked, dude. I'm tired because Sadie and I slept in a car. Nice. It actually was totally fine. That actually wasn't even the bad part, but it was just...
It's not comfy.
Yeah, well, it was the first night we get there. We stay up super late and party and drink. Yeah. The second night is the actual wedding, so we go out to the club and get bottle service and drink.
We got crazy on Friday.
Yeah, again, stayed up till like 3. So I probably maybe running on 10 hours, not like crazy low sleep, but like 10 hours total over 2 days, which not enough. And so that next day, we end up doing the hikes and drink, watch the Cougs game, and then after that, that's when we were supposed to do the big hike. So we were supposed to do this big hike to Lake Louise, which if you know anything about Banff, you know Lake Louise. That's like the cliche bluish green kind of lake that everybody sees.
You've seen
up
the
in
pictures.
You've seen the pictures. If you look it up, if you look up Banff, this is probably the picture that comes up of Lake Louise. So Gavin had gone before, and he had made these plans. Hey, like I got up at like 5:30 before and went out and. I was the first person there. There was nobody else in the parking lot. So he's like, okay, let's try to get there at like 6. Lo and behold, that I think we probably should have known this based on how the weekend was this whole time of being Labor Day. It's probably like the busiest summer weekend of the entire year for them.
It was nice weather too.
Yeah, it was great weather. Perfect.
So
low
nice.
70s and partly sunny. Fantastic. So we underestimated just kind of how perfect it was. And we get up, Sydney and I actually get up there early, and we're staying further away in Canmore because it goes Canmore, Banff, and then you drive up to Lake Louise. So we actually got up even earlier, and I was getting kind of worried. Nobody was texting back in the morning. It was one of those things. It's like, oh, we're all getting up at 5 in the morning.
Who's
Well,
up?
this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. Nobody's texting me back. I'm like, okay, well, we're driving there. We get there. We're the first people out of our group to get there. We get there. There's just a ridiculous line. I'm like, okay, it's just crazy. I guess I kind of expected this. And so they're all guiding us up into the parking lot through all these cones laid out, going up in the mountains, dozens of parking lots. It's really crazy and chaotic. And we get up there, and they're just circling cars right out to go down the hill.
Oh.
And so I go up there, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, oh, parking's full. I'm like, dude, it's like 6 a.m. What are you talking about? The sun's barely up.
People were prepped.
Yeah, and Gavin said he was the first person there at 5:30 last time, so it's just on a different level this time. So we go back down there. So we start off by not even being able to do the hike, and it's a 6.5 hour hike. It was going to be a gnarly hike. So I think that actually worked out in my benefit because I don't think I started realizing just how tired I was until we started driving to the next one. Because Sydney and I the whole day and the night before were kind of talking about, oh, should we just leave and go back? We got a hike in yesterday. It was nice. And so we end up driving to another hike that we found, that Bailey found. Ended up being awesome. Dope ass hike. But we start going. I haven't showered in like 2.5 days. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept much. I'm probably like residual hungover, not full hungover, but still feeling the effects of it. Just tired as fuck. And we go up there, we start walking up this hike, and it's like, it says gradual elevation, and most of the time it was, but there were some times that you're probably going up at like a 35% grade or something like that. It was pretty steep. And right off the bat. We cross a bridge. It's flat down there, and it's nice. I'm like, oh, I could do this. And then we start like actually climbing an elevation. And it's like a real slow, steady climb the whole time. And right off the bat, as soon as that starts, I'm like, oh no, I'm starting to feel dizzy. I'm not talking. I'm holding up the back. I'm just sweaty. I smell disgusting, and it was horrible. Luckily, I powered through though, and I like came to. Like there was a moment where I was like, dude, I'm like in a different world right now. There's probably like 20 minutes where I was hiking in the beginning. I'm like,
I either cop out now or I fucking do the whole thing.
I was about to tell Sydney, I'm like, we might have to only go halfway. We might have to turn back. I didn't end up saying that. I didn't bitch out. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it,
screaming it in my head.
I said it when we got to the top. I was like, guys, I had a tough go of it.
Once you're at the top though, you're good.
But it's a 3.5 hour hike.
At least a lot of it's downhill.
And so it was six miles, over 6 miles. So 3 up there, uphill, and then 3 downhill. So again, light grade, not like we're walking straight up a mountain. And yeah, I was dying in the beginning, but I came out of it for some reason. I was good, and we made it. We made it to the top. We got up there. We ate some snacks. We looked at some fish, took some dope pictures, and we came back down. And then Sydney and I ended up driving back, which kind of sucked because I was just smoked and done. I couldn't stay another night. I tried to find hotels so many times. They're like $500 a night for any of the hotels around there.
I saw the prices for hotels, and that's when I was like, I didn't plan to stay, and I thought like, well, maybe I will. Looked at prices for hotels, like,
no chance.
No, I'm good.
And
I'll come back at some time.
Yeah, and again, sleeping in the car was fine. I've done that many times. I do that when I go
Yeah,
camping because I like to just do that and then setting up. Because the back seats of my car fold down so you can lay down like a bed back there. It's actually pretty nice. That was fine, but I think I was just too exhausted and smoked and not being able to have the shower because, dude, I even have a scratch there still. My ankle is all bloody from doing the hike.
How do you just bend your leg like that?
What do you mean?
That was the craziest thing I've ever
that kind of flexibility.
Your foot was over here. How the
gymnastics, man? It doesn't matter how fat I get. I'm always going to be limber.
You have to move it with your hand. That was crazy.
Yeah, man. I got it. I got that dog in me, flexibility wise.
I'm blown away by that angle. That's crazy.
So, anyways, I got a chafed up Achilles, so that was bleeding when we got back down to the bottom. My thighs, my chafing, it was bad. It was slightly bloody down there. I was like, oh my, just barely, like tiny little dots. I was like, oh man, it went down that bad.
Enough though to be like,
I wasn't wearing like the right compression shorts, so my thighs are just the whole time and almost down to the bottom. I'm like, oh my god, I can't walk. It was tough, and I was like, I'm done. Because they went, what did they end up doing? I think they went on another. Oh, they drove up to Lake Louise because you can drive up. There's a hike to Lake Louise, and then there's a drive you can do to get right up to it, touristy spot. So they went up and went to Lake Louise and went up and looked at it. And then they went onto this gondola that overlooks this, pretty much all the mountains, just a dope restaurant up on a cliff. Sick.
The tea house?
Yes, I think that's what it's called, the tea house.
I saw like pictures of them at the top, and I know that's one of the more popular ones.
I really wanted to go to that, but I was like, I'm done. I can't walk anymore.
Dude, there's those days where it's just like, no, I'm not doing anymore.
It sucked because we got up there. Yeah, we got up there and everything, but I think I went too hard the first couple of days, so I was just smoked.
I knew, at least for me, I was so happy to be headed out on Saturday. Yeah. I was so done. But I kind of planned that. I knew I wasn't staying longer, so I was like, from the time we get here till the time I leave, I'm just going to go crazy and like make the most of the time that I have here. But I wish I could have done at least one hike while I was there, but it was just too.
It was cool. I'm glad that I got into as much of a grind it was. We got awesome pictures, got to see cool shit that you don't really get to see anywhere else.
It's kind of like your body too was probably just like after the few days of doing all that
smoked.
Was like go on the hike and your body's just like flushing. Everything was like, dude, you've been a rough couple days.
Yeah, I'm getting just these exhaustion sweats, which feel different than like a workout sweat. I'm like, oh god,
it just hits where you're just like, my body feels gross.
So
like
gross.
I just feel gross all over. I like ache. I'm sore. For me, I'm like, I'm not going to throw up, but I'm just nauseous the whole day. You're just like, at any point I could, but I probably won't.
I just can't believe that I came out of it. I was like, there's just no way. But then adding the chafing and the ankle and just all the shit, and I was like, okay, we're going back. And Sydney and I alternated. I drove for the first couple hours, and she slept. And then she drove the rest of the way, and I slept a good amount, which kind of ruined getting back because then I couldn't really sleep. But
I don't know how I do know how we did. We've just been friends for long enough. But yeah, me, Reese, and Sewell for both the drive there and back, which it's what, like 6.5 hours?
It's over 6.5 hours.
So 7, call it 7.
Yeah.
Like 14 hours of driving, never turned the music on one time. It was just silent, and then we just started talking and kept talking.
Did Ian tell you how fucked up he was even when he got home?
Sewell?
Kim sent videos.
I don't think so.
Sorry, Ian. But Kim sent videos of Ian
yeah.
just conked 2 days after he got back, and Kim said that he slept for like 3 days and he was just sore as hell.
Hey, I believe it. That's how I felt. I took the next 2 days of Saturday, Sunday, and was like, and Monday being Labor Day, I was like, I'm not gonna do anything.
That was the thing.
Absolutely nothing.
That was the thing that was nice about making the call of coming back on Sunday too, is because I got to fuck off on Monday.
The
do nothing.
Labor Day on Monday, I kind of forgot the whole time we were there. Where it's like, by the time we were home, I was like, oh, we have Monday off. Shoot,
Short work week.
that is
get
the
Monday off.
best thing I've ever heard
Yeah,
for me to
it's
recoup
fantastic.
and come back. And you're right, the short work week, perfect.
Fantastic. So the reason we talk about all that is because it's fun, it's dope. That's why we're gone. But this plays into the trivia that I have, and this is kind of why Matt brought this
Segue.
up. So it's a little bit of segue there. So basically, what the trivia that I set up, I set up 2 different lists of trivia, a harder one and an easier one, because honestly, I have no idea of Cody's capabilities, and if I have a hard one where he can't answer any questions, it's going to suck, and if I have an easy one where he answers all of them, it's going to suck. So hopefully, one of these falls somewhere in that in between space. And basically, what the questions are going to be is I'm going to bring up actors.
Okay.
And you're going to figure out if they are a Canadian actor or if they're an American actor or both. There's also a both option. There's a couple of boths.
Like born there but became a citizen, or
like dual citizenship.
or
Here,
just straight up dual citizenship. Okay.
Let me see.
I'm not going to know that.
You're gonna know some of these.
50-50 on the guesses. So
yeah, exactly. And you're gonna know some of these because one of them, the first one that I start off with, I think is the most obvious one.
I could probably say it maybe.
Exactly, but let me start by just reading it. So the first guy that we have on the list, and this is the easy list. I made it a little bit harder because I actually knew every actor and actress on the easy one. I didn't know the answers per se. It's hard to tell when you're actually reading it, but at least if I actually knew it or not.
Knew who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second list, I don't know all of them, and I think you know actors and actresses better than I do. At least just from my experience talking to you. So we'll see how this one is. But the first one is Ryan Reynolds.
Canadian.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. We all know that. He's got his Mint Mobile. He's got his soccer team with Rob McElhenney.
McElhenney.
Yeah, McElhenney. Rob McElhenney. That guy.
Wrexham.
So yeah, he's kind of known for being the Canadian guy. He calls soccer football because he's an European idiot bitch.
Stupid.
Every time he says that on there, I always get confused because before I kind of like obviously knew that he was Canadian, I would just, because I've been following on Instagram for a long time. Because Ryan Reynolds is awesome, dope guy, does dope shit, crazy entrepreneur, hilarious. But he was talking about buying a football team with Rob, and I was confused, and I was like, oh, this would be sick. I don't know what you mean by buying a football team. And I found out it was a soccer team.
They're going to get
Canada.
the Falcons? No way.
Yeah, sick. Let's go. Because he is like a billionaire now.
I would imagine that, well, the NFL makes so much money. The dudes that actually buy NFL teams are like richest of the rich.
Yeah.
And so
John Elway.
I mean, I don't know anything about soccer or football.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know anything about
whatever.
it.
So this one, I mean, they're all toss-ups. That's the whole point of it. But Scarlett Johansson. What do you think on that one?
I'm going to say American.
She is American. I wasn't sure on that one. I thought when I first saw the name, I was like, honestly, don't know. She could, because when I see her, I think of Russian. She's like,
yeah, I don't think Canadian, but with America and Canada, it's such
I know.
We look like it's going to be probably a white person who
Yeah.
looks either way, like you can't tell
and it
what they're
seems,
going to be.
It seems like all the famous Canadians don't really have the hardcore Canadian accent. None of them speak French that I know of, or at least that have a French accent or had the A and the oh fuck bud kind of accent.
I would think from a Hollywood standpoint, talking about actors, you want to get to Hollywood, and in order to get big, you're going to have to drop it.
Yeah, just
like
get rid
straight
of
up,
fucking-
you're going to have to, it sucks because that's so dumb, but you're probably going to have to, in order to appeal to the most people in America, kind of cut back on your accent because so many people are just going to be like, what's he saying? I don't get it. Or they just laugh at you because of it. And it's like, geez.
Yeah, I know.
But that's the reality. I don't like it, but kind of true.
Potential hot take, and maybe it's just because we grew up on the border of Washington, but the Canadian accent, that like redneck Canadian accent, is my favorite accent of all time. Oh, fuck, bud, we're going to go out for a rip and do some donuts, bud? What?
It's just a
You
normal
silly?
American redneck has that air of like also trying to insult you maybe.
Yeah.
But at least Canada is just like they just talk the same, but they're nice.
Yeah. Fuck, bud, I'm sorry that happened to you. I love it. Okay, next one, Jim Carrey. And the little snippet that it gave me, known for Ace Ventura and The Truman Show. Are those the first two movies you think of when you say Jim Carrey?
When I think first movie off Jim Carrey would probably be The Mask.
Mine's Grinch.
That's the next
Both
one.
green guys.
Truman Show does pop up.
Truman Show is a big one.
and
Ace Ventura, I only watched that for the first time, no joke, 6 months ago.
Never seen it.
Really? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not into
I've-
it.
I
I didn't
was-
think it was that good, but also
I didn't we grew up on Jim Carrey, but I personally didn't my family didn't watch a lot of Jim Carrey. It's not that I don't like him. I do
Yeah,
okay,
same.
sorry. Dumb and Dumber is hands down one of the funniest movies ever made. No questions asked. If you think it's dumb, you're dumb. You don't get it.
You're dumber.
You do not get it. It's one of the funniest.
I don't think I've seen that since I was maybe single digits.
It's
I need to
still-
watch that again because it's been too long because I
it
don't
holds
even
up.
remember. I
It
don't
holds
remember
up
anything about it.
so well.
Really?
Just like it's in the title. If you can't get along with just two dudes literally being the stupidest people you've ever seen, yeah, you're not gonna like it. But it's so funny. I think he's Canadian.
So this is the fun one. He's Canadian born, U.S. citizen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So which is kind of
Interesting.
interesting. I would not have guessed that, but it kind of makes sense. Those ones are going to be hard to guess because if they're Canadian born, that could mean they lived there for 6 months. or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
So
they might
I
not-
wouldn't know. Nice.
I know that was disgusting. I
Well.
didn't think that would pick it up. My bad.
Eh.
I need a cough button.
Yeah.
Jorgen's got the cough button. You just press it and mutes your mic. Yeah, so that one's kind of fun. Another one that I wanted to bring up, super random movie from him that I think of, Bruce Almighty. I don't know
jeez.
why that one's so specific in my. Well, I do. There's actually what I was going to bring up. I don't know what year that came out, but I just remember him doing the thing where he blows the girl's dress up, and I was like,
Oh,
sick.
that's
I
weird.
just remember that because I was probably like 10.
I think I
11,
haven't
12.
really seen that movie all the way through, but I know that part you're talking
And
about.
Jennifer Aniston's his girl in that movie, which is super random and weird.
would
And
would never actually equate in real life, but sick
I
for
know.
him.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
he lassos the moon and pulls it in, makes it bigger. And I remember answering all the emails. I remember this very distinctly as a kid.
Most any dude I've ever seen in a movie or TV show, and he's paired up with Jennifer Aniston, she is by far pulling all the weight in the in the looks department.
Yeah.
It's never the guy that's like, oh, no. It's always like your Adam Sandler's, your no hate to Adam Sandler. That doesn't equate.
There's
in a
one.
couple.
There's one with Vince Vaughn, I think, where they have a rom com. I
He's
think
probably the most
it's better than Adam
that
Sandler.
looks
and
that I'm like that could work. He's at least a big, tall, stocky
more,
guy.
more
like,
masculine.
but some of the ones where I'm like, this lady is way too attractive for all these
Oh,
guys.
just all the guys.
And but like my favorite thing is definitely American Hollywood movies of like overweight dude who gets the most
Yeah.
smoking hot chick ever, and you're like, God, dude, life is like this. Oh, what's wrong?
Hell
What's
yeah,
going?
I'm so excited
This
to
is
grow
gonna be
up.
amazing. I
Let's
just
go.
I get to get fat, drink beer, and my wife just stays perfect.
Yeah,
oh,
let's
love
go.
this.
Real
Like
world stuff.
it's insane.
So I actually don't have a face to this one. I probably would once I looked her up. But Rachel McAdams,
Oh, I'd say Canadian.
she is Canadian. Good
Nice.
job. I'm not even keeping track of these. Doesn't really matter. It's just for
I
fun,
don't
but-
think we need to,
Yeah.
but if we want to, we can.
Yeah. Best star of The Notebook and Spotlight. I don't know what
Correct.
Spotlight is, but
I've seen
Notebook,
that.
obviously. You've
Spotlight's
seen Spotlight?
really good,
Is that another
actually.
rom com like
No,
Notebook?
no.
Or not rom com, but
Very,
drama?
very serious. It's about the, I think in Boston, the newspaper like outlet, they were the ones responsible for kind of outing the whole like Catholic Church of priests and like diddling kids.
Really?
Straight up. They went through all the records. It's like a very historically accurate movie trying to portray what happened. And she's just one of the main people. Mark Ruffalo's in it. I can't remember one other guy, but super good. Like just wild when you're watching and they're like, they take the records of all the priests that have been like moved from place to place, thinking like, why? So this guy did a stint of a year here, and then they said he had to leave because he was caught doing stuff that he shouldn't. Well, he didn't get reprimanded. They just moved him to another place, and then he never got taken out. He just moved to another place and another place and another place, and they're like, every single one that has had like markdowns for things where they like were aware like, oh, he's not doing, they never got rid of him. They just cycled him. And it was like, oh my, they go to all these people who are like in their 30s and 40s now. And they're like, do you know this man? And they're like, yeah. And
You know the man a little too well.
I don't want to talk about it. And they're like, no, we need to talk about it. So that's a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Just-
I'll have to look up a picture of her after this too.
You
I'll know her when I see
100%
it. Yeah, because I know that name. I know the movies. But that movie sounds awesome too. I might have to. put that on
Spotlight's
the list.
really good. Obviously, The Notebook you would know, I would think. But
I need to start bringing a notepad here when I figure out about.
I
new
feel
stuff
yeah.
for
I'm
me
like
to write down to watch.
I'm also like I'm just gonna pull my notes up on my phone or something just to keep track of anything. That's smart. I love Rachel McAdams. I think she's a great actress.
Does she happen to be in like?
A lot of romantic stuff.
It is a lot of romantic stuff. Why can I not think of the fucking?
There's this actually one of my favorites. I think with her is her and the ginger dude in About Time is what it's called.
Who's the ginger
Very dramatic. Like I remember a friend showed me in high school was like, you might like this, and it was very romantic stuff. I'm like, I don't know about this, but then by the end it hits you with an emotional like swing where I didn't see it coming, and I was like, oh no, and I was
That's
like,
why they can
crying.
work. Yeah, they can.
It's
They
like,
can
oh
work.
shoot, this is really sad.
Why can I not think? What's the movie of the acapella people with Anna Kendrick? What
I
the
don't
fuck
think
is-
she's in that.
she's not. Okay, I don't know
Pitch
why.
Perfect.
Pitch Perfect. Yeah,
I don't think she's in that. But yeah, you definitely know if you saw her.
Next person I got here, Tom Hanks, the beloved star of Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan. That is definitely what I would think of when I think of Tom Hanks and Woody.
Kind of weirdly enough, my first image of Tom Hanks is I think of him in Big when he's dancing on the big piano.
I don't know if I've seen Big.
It's like he starts as a child and then uses one of those like super old school, like on the pier at like you'd see those like fortune teller machines with the weird like animatronic dudes in them.
Oh my God,
He does like one of those and it comes out with a ticket and he becomes like 10 years older. He goes from like being a 7-year-old or like a 9-year-old to a 19-year-old or something.
Really?
And yeah, he's like, whoa, I don't know how to handle this.
bro.
Like, so that's another classic. But I always think of him younger or Saving Private Ryan's classic.
Saving Private, yeah, legendary.
Is he? I would say American.
Yeah, he's American.
Yeah.
That one I feel like really could be a toss-up. I don't know why, but I could totally see Tom Hanks being Canadian.
He
Maybe
just-
it's because he like.
I mean, he's
gives
very
off a vibe that
nice.
He's so nice.
The
Yeah.
very nice guy. Like I think Tom Hanks is great, but he definitely has like gotten into just being the nice guy. I would.
Yeah.
What about a Tom Hanks villain? That would be insane. Could he? Probably not. Probably why he hasn't. I don't know. But
Yeah. Kind of a character actor.
He just feels very American. I don't know. Like Forrest Gump is such a like American feeling movie to me
Yeah.
too. Like that.
No,
is-
yeah. Running across America.
It just feels so. Yeah. It's you just get to and like going through the World War and stuff and like all this everything happening in very particular areas to be on purpose. But
That's another one that I didn't see till I was older, maybe like 20. Have I told you the story about when I was in Mr. Naslin's class in like government class or whatever it was?
I don't think so.
And he was walking down the aisle and he just, I don't know what the context was, why he's asking this or what happened, but he was walking down the aisle in between the desks and he's like, can anybody say what my favorite movie is? And I just went, Forrest Gump. And he's like, yeah, that's it. He's like, how did you know that? I was like, I've never even seen that movie. I just randomly said that.
It's
He's
one
like,
of those
He's like,
kind of
what?
movies.
Yeah, and Alyssa was like, okay, that's freaking me out. That's really weird. I remember saying that specifically.
It's that's a movie I would name off on like if you were to have a top 10 all time. Forrest Gump is an easy one. People I could see putting in.
Yeah, but I didn't even have the context for that. I knew that it was like a popular movie, and then I watched it several years later. I'm like, oh my god, this movie's amazing. One of the movies that showcases just how awesome Robin Williams is because he has that range of being this hilarious, awesome, fun, physical actor, and then he has this just drama role. He's this mentor to Matt Damon. I'm like, damn.
Are you thinking Good Will Hunting then?
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
That's,
But they are kind of hand in hand. I think of them very similarly.
wow, I just totally had a brain fart there. I can't believe.
Either way.
Whatever.
good
Both
movies.
both great movies.
Yeah.
Whoops. But anyways, Robin Williams, awesome.
I wonder what he is. I'd say he's American.
I don't think he's on here, but I think he's American too.
I think he is.
Okay. Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future and Family Ties. I only know Back to the Future. I mean, I know Family Ties, but I've only seen Back to the Future.
I'm going to say American.
This is another hybrid one.
I'm getting wrecked by those.
Well, yeah, you're probably going to forget about it every time.
I will never say that as an answer, probably.
Canadian-born, works in the U.S. So works in the U.S.
right.
means I think he might be Canadian, based on what that answer is. I don't know
Works
that
in the...
answer.
You'd have to have a citizenship of some sort.
Maybe. I don't
right?
know.
In order to be making money over here, I would think. I don't know.
I only realized how short Michael J. Fox was maybe a couple years ago, too. He's like 5'2" or 3.
He's got hella Parkinson's.
He does have hella Parkinson's. He's got a lot of
But he's still
Parkinson's.
kicking. Like
He's got hella Parkinson's.
he's been doing it for a minute, and he's like still a big advocate and has programs I think that are trying to raise money. But it's like more impressive that he's still kicking with as long as he's had it, and it's as severe as it is.
And it started. I'm pretty sure you like discovered it towards the end of the filming of, because Back to the Future 2 and 3 were filmed together at the same time, and he's like 27 or something in those movies.
He's super young, compared to now.
Yeah. Well, but I'm saying, well, he's old because he's playing Marty McFly, who's a 17-year-old in high school. Yeah. And he's like 26 or 27 or something like that. And it's crazy. He looks good. But because the second two were filmed like years after the first one. Yeah. But back to back. But I think that he started figuring out about that Parkinson's, I think, like right at the end of filming one of the Back to the Futures.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
So he's had it for decades now.
That would suck.
Doing pretty, but I mean, if he's doing pretty well. I just found out a friend has Parkinson's too. Well, what? A kind of a friend, a guy that I went to college with. Oh, which is crazy. But yeah, so right now he's fine. Might not be the right word, but like 95% just chilling, normal.
It would just that'd be the worst feeling, is knowing like ALS, where
it's the slow,
just
ones.
Debilitating,
and you have your mind the whole time. It's just your body slowly can't do things.
You can't do anything, and then you get to the point where you're like nonverbal. You can't even communicate to people, and you're like, I just want a glass of water. No, it's not that easy.
Those neurochips changing shit though.
I mean, we live in a day and age where things happen that I'm like, if it happens, it happens, and I'm just here to witness whatever's going on.
If I was fucked up and like I was a quadriplegic or I couldn't talk, lo and behold, even worse, I'd 100% get a chip. Whatever, no reason.
Yeah, because to like be that at a disadvantage, I would say honestly, compared to most anyone else, it's like I would be probably fighting for any way to get to some sense of normalcy.
Did you?
Not even normal, just functioning.
Yeah, you might not listen to Rogan at all, but did you listen to the one where he had the first Neuralink test guy on it?
No, I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I only watch clips sporadically.
This dude, he's a quadriplegic. I don't remember what happened. I think it was a swimming accident, and he like severed something in his spine just swimming, which is not one that you would think about. But he gets the chip put in his head, and he can like use a computer mouse and like play games on the computer,
just with his mind.
With his mind. And he is like God tier because he just looks on the screen and that's where his gun goes. He said that the first time that he got it put in and he found out he could play games, he played games for 10 hours straight. Probably because he hasn't been able to do anything for 10, 15 years.
You got to think, as someone who's gamed his whole life. I was just talking about this yesterday with Soto and Andrew, where I was like some form of hand-eye coordination has been gained through playing years of games. Like, you have like 20 inputs on a controller, and I'm looking at the screen, not this thing, and I know exactly what to do perfectly in time. Like, that's pretty crazy to think like a shooter where it's like, gosh, there's so many times where I'm like, I know I saw that guy. I was slow. I couldn't get there quick enough, actually.
My eyes and brain.
And there's a reactionary period for your brain to get to your hands. It's like, dude, just
then the delay from the controller to the Xbox to the screen.
Actual input delay on technology to have something that is literally linked into your brain to be like, it's aimbot. It's just straight.
It is aimbot.
You have you just straight, you look, and then he can just be like, shoot.
He doesn't even have to say shoot.
It's crazy. He can just literally think like, kill that guy, and the guy's dead.
Yeah.
That's gotta be.
That's like
the coolest thing ever.
What's that ScarJo movie where she like unlocks Lucy? I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And she can just die and just move everybody.
Ultimate brain power to be able to like telepath. It felt like telepathy of some sort. But like, if we get to the more consumer version of those things, where it's not just your one-off cases of like a beta test that some guy got lucky and he's like, dude, I got the chip. This thing's crazy.
I got the chip, bro.
But if it gets to a point where everyone's doing it, it'll be wild. Obviously it's scary to say, but I'm in the boat of being like, it's going to happen. Things are happening, whether you like it or not. You get used to it because we already live in it.
Yeah, we've talked about that stuff. Things are just going to happen. You can only do so much. Try to make the best of what you got, and just
I try to
like,
I'm just like, it's
Can't
cool.
dwell on it.
It's cool to me. Will someone use these things for not good things? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just like we all have
done.
Always
will, but hopefully the good things will outweigh the bad. But
you
never know. I don't know who this next person is. Star of Grey's Anatomy, apparently. Sandra Oh, is that the Asian woman that's on it?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Because she's pretty good in that show, but I haven't seen her in anything else.
Yeah.
She says Grey's Anatomy and Killing Eve. I don't know what Killing Eve is.
I think you're right in saying that. I wouldn't really know off the top of my head. If you didn't say Grey's Anatomy, I would have been like, no idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I'm going to take a wild guess. She's Canadian.
Nailed it. Nailed
Wow.
it. Couldn't have done better.
Come on.
Good job.
It's too
I got
easy.
nothing to say about Sandra Oh, so let's move on to the next one here.
Yeah, get wrecked.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh.
What's the first movie that comes to your mind there? I think I might know it.
Wow, there's
for
a
you.
lot.
Is it Django?
No.
Okay. He's not a main character.
Believe it or
in that, so
not,
it's-
Django, I don't think of Leo. It's always
No.
Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
He's like the last person I would think of, even though he kills it. But
I think of SLJ just because of the whole.
Oh, yeah.
His whole character is wild.
he has one of the best characters in that whole fucking movie.
Just maybe ever. Racist,
That is
racist black guy.
the worst,
That's
like,
blind.
the
just such
the
a crazy.
most hypocritical character ever is a black dude who's like just shitting on the other slaves. Like, oh, your life fucking sucks, dude. I'm in the big house. Like, dude, you're still a slave.
I don't
Oh,
remember.
damn.
Does he know that he's black?
Yes,
He does. Okay.
I think he's just aware. He's the guy who understood, at least in this day and age, we do not have a lot going for us. I'm going to do the most I can to have the highest possible spot in this little community of people that I can, and I'm never going to let anyone take that from me.
I gotta
ever.
watch Django again.
Like, he just dominates as that, like, presence of, I mean, he's just as bad to the slaves almost as Leo and all of the actual slavers are.
Yeah.
It's like, to be an actual slave and looking at this dude and being like, a white guy talking about any of this doesn't work, but from a movie standpoint, it's always just the funniest thing of like, this has got to be the worst. You want to kill this dude. You want to kill this dude so bad. But Leo, I don't know. There's so many movies.
I want to see if you say one of the two that.
What's
I've
funny,
written
I
here.
always have weird images. It's like sometimes a younger version, but like What's Eating Gilbert Grape when he's super young and he's playing like a person with disabilities.
Yeah.
That picture of him comes in my mind, and then also Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
It's
ever.
definitely the part where he's like dancing or something. He's in that group of people, and I always see the clip of him doing that like dance move.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, or
That's it. That one you still see so often used for so many clips.
I would say he's American.
He's American. He's
Yeah.
born in Freedom Town.
Feels like it.
Yeah, I don't know where from, but it says star of Titanic and Revenant. Revenant makes sense because that's the only one where he's actually got what Academy Award did he get that from that?
I mean, probably best actor. I don't know.
What do you know? What it was? It like a Grammy or an Emmy?
Oh,
or,
I
know how
mean, those are
work.
music.
okay.
Emmys not. Grammys are.
I don't know what's what.
A Golden
which-
Globe, a fuck. I don't know either.
I have never watched an award show, so I don't know what they are. I just
worth
know that it was a big deal with Leo because he is one of the greatest actors that is alive today, and he only has the one award, and it's from The Revenant.
Yeah, that was. When that came out, the big thing was like he finally got his award, which is funny because I'm like, honestly, there's movies I like way more than that one, or
It's
at least
just-
his performance. I get why it was like the dude literally almost killed himself to like act in this movie. It was
Yeah.
so serious.
Well, it's Gilbert Grape, it's Titanic, it's Wolf of Wall Street, it's
I
The
put
Revenant,
I put
obviously.
Django in there.
Django-
Still. That's
Django in there, even though
his
he's not, like, a
villain,
main
His
guy.
villain arc though, and that is so good. He's normally not the villain. To have him play that and play it like that was like, oh, I love a nasty side to the actor. You're like, oh, we love Leo. And you go into Django and you're like, oh, I hate this guy. This
That's
guy
how-
is terrible.
that's when you know they're great.
Like
so they can
that.
do shit like that.
Killed
It's
it.
dope. I don't know this one either, actually. Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
I'd say he's
Roland
American.
24 and son of that might be a spoiler.
Is Kiefer Sutherland? Is he not? No, that's his son.
Oh,
there's
this one's
Donald.
got it.
There's two Sutherlands.
I was going to say the son of Canadian actor
Donald-
Donald Sutherland.
So Donald Sutherland is Snow in the Hunger Games movies, if you know that.
Oh, okay.
Like the
Yeah.
president dude.
Yeah.
And then this is Kiefer is his son, who's been in. I haven't.
it says
seen-
24, which I
That's a
haven't seen.
TV show.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen 24. I
that's-
know what that is. though.
That's right. That's actually the thing I would know him from.
Yeah.
At least commercials. I never watched 24.
So you can't get this answer because I didn't even give you the context to be able to answer. But the answer for this one is born in London,
so
raised in Canada, works in the U.S.
Oh well, yeah. Holy shit.
So I'm not exactly sure what that makes him. I mean,
I guess I never would have said it, but I can put the pieces a little. Does Donald Sutherland have an accent? Or maybe he's just one of those older dudes who just
Donald
speaks so
Sutherland-
eloquently it feels like an accent.
Donald Sutherland is Canadian.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
It says son of Canadian actor Donald Sutherland. So
Okay.
maybe Donald had him like maybe met a girl in London or something.
Could have been
had
doing
him in
a
London.
movie over in
Yeah.
London, yeah.
Yeah, busted a couple nuts, had a baby,
Yep.
moved back to Canada. Dude was raised in Canada. Now he's an actor working in the U.S.
He's
learning timelines.
he's basically American now.
Yeah,
Once you're here long enough, we accept you.
Yeah.
And if you've been in enough good movies, we definitely
Yeah,
accept you. We'll love you.
This is a fun one. Denzel Washington, star of Training Day and Malcolm X. I haven't seen Malcolm X, but Training Day is a goat.
I've not seen Malcolm X.
Training Day is so good though.
Man, Denzel, yeah, that's one I wouldn't.
Is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt as his buddy cop in Training Day? I think that's who it is.
No,
not buddy cop. Buddy cop is not the right word.
No, it's Ethan Hawke.
Oh, it's Ethan Hawke. That's right. You don't see
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke very often anymore.
Not many movies anymore.
He was big though. I feel back in like the 2010s.
Yeah, he had like a 10 to 15 year spurt. I feel like where he was in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Or like he was in Sinister, and that's like when
Really?
it stopped. I think was when he did Sinister,
Oh,
the first Sinister, and like I don't remember seeing much of him after that.
Sinister is one of the first movies that really fucked me up. I was like, this movie is so scary.
That was a good one.
The lawnmower
yeah,
over the
dude.
dude is just,
Everyone.
hate this.
I remember coming out of that movie. Everyone was like, "That was pretty good." Like some people might have been like, it could have been this like better," but everyone agreed. We're like, "But that lawnmower scene was crazy." Where it's just like the filming of it, where it's like shitty quality, and you can tell like, okay, this is
Because
just
it's
someone.
from. It's
just
like through the wall of like a cabin when they're recording it or watching it, isn't it?
The lawnmower
so
scene
long.
just picks up with like a person just like filming from like their chest almost. It feels like they have a GoPro on.
Yeah.
And it's like nighttime out, and it goes straight to, they just grab a lawnmower and they like start it and they just start going. And it's maybe like 10 to 15 seconds, but it's like the half second at the end shows someone like tied up on the ground, and they just are like, and you're like, no, you're like, no. But that's like perfect tension where you know what's like, you've already gotten the clues of like every clip you watch is someone's going to die. Someone's going to get
Just
murdered.
how is this going to happen?
How is it going to fucking happen? And the lawnmower kicks in, you're like, oh God, this is like the worst startup to one of these so far.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the first movies I remember going in theaters to see when I was probably early teens and being like, this is scary. I don't like this.
It was one of those first teenage years where I'm like, I want to see scary movies in theaters. This is like the perfect one to go see. And then that was a good one.
Yeah.
Who was the original
Denzel
person?
Washington.
Oh shit, Denzel. I don't know. It feels hard to say Canada, so I'm going to say American.
He's American.
Nice.
Denzel Washington's an American goddamn hero. His last name's Washington.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
So you might know this one. Actually, I didn't know the first part of this, but I knew this one. But our boy, star of the John Wick movies, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu, I would actually say he's Canadian.
He is Canadian.
Nice.
Born in Lebanon.
Whoa.
Raised in Toronto.
Lebanon.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
He seems like a worldly man.
he does. He's such a weirdo.
Traveled.
I love him, dude. And his voice is the same when he's talking in interviews and in every movie that he's ever been in. He is just
He's the ultimate, like, honestly, Tom Cruise puts in so much work, but he's also a Scientologist, so fuck that. That's some weird ass bullshit.
I forgot about that part.
Keanu hits the perfect level of, I'm here to kill everyone in sight. I may not be the biggest guy, but I'm probably the smartest guy. Like he hits the perfect, like, especially with gun stuff. Clearly, the dude is trained up, and when he is ripping through in I love all the John Wick movies, so it's like, it is so hard for me not to love this dude, even when it's like you do have to be bought into the whole like, yeah, I think I'm back.
That voice.
If you can't laugh, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to laugh at that. That's the point. Is they're like, this is kind of, it's hammed up, it's corny, but like, why else are you watching one dude kill a million guys?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of corny. So hearing him and only him say those lines is why it works. Just that, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. You're like, oh shit, John Wick is back. You guys fucked up. You messed with the wrong dude.
I hear too many people complain about the story of those movies, and I think we talked about that last time. I'm like,
It's annoying.
I think we talked about that with John Wick 4 last time, but just like, the story is not what matters in this. You're here for the awesome action, but also the story is really cool. And the world that they build in the universe that they make, it's dope.
I think it's like the best, not the best, but it's a really good way of like, they do the breadcrumbs in the first movie where you can tell it's like, this may not, nobody might see this. The first John Wick was not like big by any means.
No,
I remember
super
it
small
just,
budget, right? Like 15 mil or something.
I don't
maybe?
even know if it was in theaters hardly at all. It was almost felt more like straight to DVD at the time. And I remember just hearing about someone was like, or like reading online, people talking about, like crazy new action movie with Keanu Reeves called John Wick. You're going to like, if you just want to see the sickest action, I was like, I'm in the mood for that. I remember I watched it and was like, dude, How has nobody been talking about this? That was the single coolest, like the perfect little like the Baba Yaga talking about giving him all these like cool monikers to like build him up, and then you just get to watch him beat ass.
$20 million budget.
That's pretty good.
Which is sick.
That's pretty good. And compared to what I bet John Wick 4's budget was, it's got to be like 80 to 100 mil, I would think.
And I didn't even get into it, and I think, damn, it only made 86 million. That's still really good though. That's quadruple the budget. That's really good. But I'm just surprised it's way smaller than I even thought.
That's that banger movie where the people who funded it were like,
oh, we got a good return.
Oh, baby.
When you're doing gold. When you triple your budget, you're doing really good.
God, I mean.
And so quadrupling is awesome. And we talked about Napoleon. That wasn't on the podcast, but how that was made for like 400 grand and it's grossed like 60 million or something, which is obscene.
That's just the difference between good movies and bad movies to me. Is like a good movie. When you watch Napoleon Dynamite, like, yeah, you can see it looks cheap, I guess, but it doesn't feel like, oh, this is a cheap movie. It's like, it's part of the aesthetic. When you're watching, you're like, yeah, they're in like bumfuck Idaho. Yeah. It looks shitty as hell. It's not pretty. Yeah. It's just kind of flat and hilly and
it's
fields.
Hilarious and perfect.
And it just treads the line so perfectly of like, yeah, we know what this is. We're not trying to beat around the bush. We know we don't have money. So what do? We get the funniest people we've ever seen in the like the wildest ideas for concepts that don't really make sense, but don't have to if it's believable. Like if Napoleon doesn't look like he does and act like he doesn't work. He has to be this weird, like the most weird person you've ever seen in your life.
And then you just make him do slightly weird things like put tater tots in your pocket.
Yeah, and then kick him.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have the Spanish dude.
Give me some of your tots.
Let's have the Spanish dude run for ASB president and have like a mental crisis during the middle of it, and he has to shave his head for no reason. Like it works so well because of its budget. That's where the best movies come from. Is I think you've seen it now, like Marvel or some of these big like Disney movies where they have so much, they have endless amounts of funds.
They look and feel worse.
They somehow, you watch this, I'm like, why does this not feel good? This doesn't feel like a good movie. This just feels like you guys literally were like shoving all these colors and things like we've talked about, just like over sensory, like just blast things on the screen and people will have to just accept that that's pretty cool, right? It only goes so far.
How long do you think Robert Downey Jr. actually wore a suit? Like how far into the universe? Does that question make sense?
No, say that again.
How long do you think he was wearing a practical suit and not just putting on a CGI suit? How far into the series do you think they stopped doing that?
Honestly, Iron Man 2.
It's the so you think he's wearing a practical 1 and 2?
I feel like partly, but that's the one where they realized, like, I don't think we need to do this anymore.
The only one that he wears one is the first one.
Okay, that's kind of how
it's wild.
It got big immediately. Like
he wears like half suits in 2 and 3, but he's only actually ever wearing a suit in the first one, and you can tell. And I'm like, this is sick.
I need to rewatch the first one because all I know is whenever I see clips of it still, and I've seen it, but it's been a while. It's easily one of my favorite Marvel movies because of how grounded it actually feels. Where you're like, this is just a dude in a cave building a suit to live, and it's like terrorists kind of happening in the background.
Oh yeah.
So it's like not realistic, but way more believable than like what the Avengers becomes. Obviously, that's the point, is to get to the crazy stuff and have the team ups. But there is something special about the beginning of, we can't just, if they just started with the Avengers, it doesn't work. It does not work.
No.
People don't buy in like we did. I wouldn't have never bought in. It was the slow build of like, here's Iron Man. Did it work? Hey, that actually worked pretty good. People like that. Okay.
And that was an obscure like Marvel character that people, like even Marvel people, like, I mean, they knew him and he was there, but like he was not the main person. It was like Captain America, Spider-Man.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, Wolverine, X-Men stuff. And Iron Man was a random offshoot.
Not to mention just the actual career revival of Robert Downey Jr. within that.
Yeah,
he was
that's
like
cool too.
Kind of
Makes
on
the
his
story way better.
On his last leg, quote unquote, where like going through hella drug issues and like getting arrested and having a bad rap in Hollywood for a little bit, and then had to clean up the act, and he's given literally the best contract of a lifetime that I doubt anyone ever could have ever predicted. Nobody could have predicted how much damn money and how profitable.
And he's making way more now being Dr. Doom. He has like he's supposed to make like $80 million or something. I'm like, We don't need to get too deep into that.
Yeah,
though. That's a whole
that's
nother can of
crazy,
worms to
though.
go into.
That is wild.
But yeah, it's awesome.
You lock down. It's true. These dudes are out there looking for like the one. Robert Downey Jr. got the best of it. Nobody else was going to get it. But you can tell, like, well, they're like, well, Chris Hemsworth is like, I'll be Thor. Mark Ruffalo's like, I'll be the Hulk. Scarlett Johansson, I'll be the Black Widow. Like, of course, everyone should be biting like everyone should be going for these roles at that time. So that's pretty cool. In the end, the Marvel Universe stuff is still mind blowing that they pulled it off.
Yeah, and mind blowing that they're just dumping it in the dirt. So sad.
But I give credit where credit's due. Like I agree, but yeah, it's sad to watch so many of these big IPs like Star Wars and Marvel that like have so much potential, and they're just flushing money down the drain.
Yeah. It's just a money thing. You know, you try to cash grab and you try to make a dozen projects in 1 year when before you were in the very beginning it was like a movie every other year. Iron Man. I think it was Iron Man 1, 2, Thor, and Captain America. So there was a movie every year but one leading up to there was a movie every year because Iron Man came out in 2008 and then Avengers came out in 2012. So there's one movie a year.
It was way better for me when it was like that.
It was way better for me, and I'm like I was a diehard.
I can't keep up. It's like all the 5 TV shows going at once and the 3 movies that come out. I'm like, and in order to have the best experience, it's like, well, you got to know everything. I'm like, that's hard. That is actually asking. It's asking a lot of
me,
people.
of somebody who was like pretty deep into it. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's too many.
As a casual watcher, it's just so hard to be like, oh, you want to watch the news? I'm not gonna get it, and in order for me to get it, I need to commit like 30 hours of my life in a row consistently to retain this knowledge.
It's a lot more.
It's tough. Yeah, that's low.
It's just the thing that sucks with the cash grab of not even movies, but IP products that they create today, where they find something that sticks that people love, and they're like, okay, we are gonna do everything. Have you heard about all the stuff that's going on with Horizon Zero Dawn?
I did notice, at least in the Gamescom stuff or lately with games, they're doing like a full Lego Horizon game. And I was like, what?
They're doing a Lego Horizon game. They're doing Horizon 3. I think they have a spin-off. They have a book series. They have like a kids book series.
What?
They have a TV show that they're trying to make and a TV and some other shit. Like, I'm like, dude,
who's watching?
They had because I was listening to it on Sacred Symbols, which is one of the Kind of Funny Guys podcasts, like a guy who left it, Colin Moriarty, and I think on something like that in the news article you read, they have 13 Horizon Zero Dawn things in the making that are supposed to come out within the next X amount of years. I'm like, dude, it's already great. I know you want the money, but you're gonna. I guess they don't care about the name of it in the future if they get the money up front, but like. We've seen it so many times now where it's like, okay, we have a really good project. Now we're going to make 1,000 things of it. And yeah, it makes you money like maybe right in the beginning, but you know it falls off. Like it's happening with Marvel. It's happening with Star Wars. You see it, but they're still doing it. I don't know if maybe it's still trying to catch up or what, but it's so annoying. I think
it obviously, sadly, is it works. These companies do it only because they can't afford the loss, even if it doesn't work. But I agree. It's like wild. Why put all your eggs in one basket type of thing? Like that's insane for one IP to me. That like, I'm a gamer, dude. I couldn't tell you anything about the storylines of the Horizon games. I just know that what the chick looks like.
Yeah,
that is it. It is not a big enough franchise to be like, in my mind, oh, people are gonna love this. They're gonna totally like just be wanting more and more. It's like. I guess maybe I'm not the target audience, clearly, but if there are people out there wanting it, good. I don't really want it. Yeah, I don't care.
It's not even something that I should care directly about that because I'm not even invested in that universe and all that stuff. I've like watched through the story of the first game and it's really cool. But it just goes to show the things that I do care about or did care about a lot, which was Star Wars and Marvel. It's just the same career path. So you just see another IP doing it. I'm like, God damn it, dude. It's just going to run this thing into the ground again.
You can only assume it's probably going to be the same thing. Yeah. That's going to happen. Like you see it time and time and time again. It's the video games that companies are choosing blow my mind. Borderlands was always one where it was like, I just don't see this being a good movie. And then let alone the casting came out and it was like, this is definitely not a good movie. Dude, I found it on YouTube, the full movie.
Damn right you did.
Full, like, great quality. They're not taking that shit down because they're not losing money. Nobody's going to see it. So you can just go find it on YouTube, full thing. And it's like, who's asking for these games? Who was asking for Borderlands? I even love the game, and I know for a fact the thing I shit on about it is the writing and the story. They have like corny, dumb jokes that you just have to get used to. Some of it's funny. More often, I'm not laughing.
It works better in that medium.
And again, yeah, to actually point on that too, why is it that so many people also assume the game sells, therefore a movie would sell? That's not the same thing. Playing a video game is not watching a movie. There's a reason that like games exist with these really amazing stories now, because it's also interactive. You have to put in effort yourself to play. Like Red Dead Redemption, I think would be a great TV show, but at the same time,
because it's so cinematic,
it feels like a movie or a TV show. But if you take away me getting to do it, I don't think it would be the same. That's such a that's why I play video games. I'm playing The Witcher right now. Oh my God, I'm so mad at The Witcher show. Why did it have to go and be bad and like turn into what it was, where they got so convoluted with?
I only watched the first season because it confused me too much with the weird time jump stuff. I didn't like it.
And credit where credit's due. People
did like that.
That's how the book is. So I know really? that is how the book is, but as someone who's playing the game, and like I almost play the game like it is a TV show. I can hop in and I do a monster contract, and it takes me 20-30 minutes, and then I go do like part of the main story, and that takes me 20-30 minutes. Like I can chunk it out, and everything I'm doing is more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I get to be Geralt. I get to kill the things. I get to do it. And it's also, centered around The Witcher, Geralt. I don't give a fuck about any of the other stuff in that show. Didn't. And I'm like, why didn't they just make this like, in my mind, the simplest format, almost like an anthology where every episode's a different episode and you could boot any of them up. No elongated storyline. It's just monster hunts or just cool like contracts that he does. I think like for me, obviously that's super personal. I would love that. That'd be sick. I don't care about all the stuff they tried shoehorning in. It's like, look, can we just get to Geralt killing people again? Henry Cavill is why I'm watching this.
And now he's gone.
I'll
tell. There's one thing that happened since we recorded our last podcast that came out. Something pretty exciting. You know what I'm talking about? The Minecraft movie trailer.
Oh, dude,
I'm so excited. We're going to see this day one, and we're talking about it on the podcast because I'm so excited. Because that somehow looks 10 times worse than Borderlands, and Borderlands looked awful. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I can't put my finger on it, but there is something about that trailer that is just like,
it's so uncanny.
How did we get here? How did we get here, man?
Especially from what we've gotten, because we talked about this before with The Last of Us and Borderlands, The Last of Us and Fallout, and now they're great. And now we're getting Borderlands in this fucking Minecraft movie. I'm like,
I don't know. Maybe this is just like how it is with the latest TV shows. TV shows are doing way better than movies are with video game properties.
It makes more sense. Video games
give more time to the characters to flesh out the characters, which is so massive.
Yeah.
And the world building in a game is second to probably characters. Is where you're doing this is hugely impressionable on the characters too.
But Minecraft doesn't have characters.
It doesn't even have a story.
No, it has the Ender campaign.
It has
Ender
a
Dragon.
Goal. Yeah, you have the goal. The dragon. And it's like, if the movie doesn't end in them killing the Ender Dragon, what are we doing?
And what is Jason Momoa supposed to be? Do you know?
I think the trailer is purposely just being like not saying, there's nothing that explains why he's dressed or looks the way he is.
With that wig on that
I have no clue. And I'm trying to like put it together. I was talking with my brother and we're both like, are we just missing the joke? Did we not get it? And it's like, no, dude, I don't think this is referencing. There has to be like he's just wearing it it's a joke in the movie.
Maybe there's another trailer that comes out because Mario did work. And
that's
Mario
the one I'm thinking that did.
Mario, I guess, has a concept where it's like him fighting Bowser and saving Peach, so that like makes sense with that. Minecraft doesn't have that, but Mario was good, so maybe Minecraft comes out with some other trailers and like it changes perspective. I highly, highly doubt it because holy shit, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen,
dude.
And it makes me so excited. I'm doing a review on that
at least,
day one.
At least for the Mario movie, I remember watching the trailer and I was like, okay, this looks like
it looked really good.
Immediately, I was like, this story could be what it is.
The casting was ridiculous.
The casting was kind of crazy. I don't think it was as bad as everyone made it out to seem. When you see it,
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
I think the only one was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is still a bit like, that's just straight Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. It's not the worst thing ever, but that works. I don't know how Minecraft works. I don't know. And also, Jack Black just being Jack Black.
Steve.
Just he just did his weird, I'm Steve. Like he just,
that's it.
That was it. And I don't know how to feel. I can't fully shit on it because I will say, whatever the animation is that they're doing, it's clearly had work put into it.
Definitely.
It's not like just some half-assed nothing. There's money in it. The animation that is there looks on it like intriguing enough that I'd like to see more. But the mixture of live action and the animation,
That was
is
the weird
where
call. I was like,
I don't know where we go from here. Is this going to be like half on Earth in real world and then half in the game? Is that part of the story? I don't know. Are we fully here? Is Steve some old man trapped in the game and's been there for forever? I don't know.
just leave that stuff in Space Jam forever. We don't need it. We don't need it
That's
back. The crossover of that drastic of an animation to real world stuff is just like, okay, like
it's wild.
you could tell that they're just standing in a studio green screen and they're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
That
just,
I don't like that stuff either.
Yeah.
What's it called? Like Disney's The Volume.
Yeah.
That they use, where it was really cool when it first came out because of how seamless it was, and when used sporadically. Now so many movies are relying on it. You can quickly tell when you're like, oh, you're just in the volume screen. I can tell you're just sitting on a big circle and everything around you is just a background wall, and you're only working with props on the inside. That's like so many movies that use practical sets, or the sense of just they build out a massive level set to like work with, or they just Dune goes to the desert. Smart.
One of the only things that Star Wars has done in the modern era is taking the feedback from the prequels and making stuff practical, because a lot of Star Wars stuff does feel good because it's practical. But if you don't do it on the big scale right, it still feels cheesy like the TV shows do.
Yeah.
Like Grogu, that's the name of Baby Yoda. I don't think you watch Mandalorian. But
I don't, but I at least know that.
that's the name of Baby Yoda. In the third season, he like jumps around and does force flips and like fights people.
Oh, shit.
And it's just a puppet running. It's fucking weird, dude. I'd much rather prefer CG Yoda. I love CG Yoda.
It's always give and take. It's like, yeah, where are you going to or not going to use it? It's like why the original Lord of the Rings still holds up so well, because it, to me, is the perfect usage of like, it's not what some people claim, like, they didn't use CGI. Yes, they did. Look at the Balrog. Look at some of the monsters. It's just they did it so well with what they had. It really blends in pretty seamlessly. Like, you just kind of believe it because, oh, well, they were smart. What do you do with a Balrog? It's in the Mines of Moria. Make the background really dark, and he's a really fiery guy. The fire is the main point. The scariness is the main point. Don't make it look like, oh, is this a realistic rock fire? No, it's never going to be. Make it look cool.
That's something that we talked about. I keep wanting to say last week, but last episode when I talked about Alien Romulus, is because Alien Romulus was filmed on film.
Yeah.
And I think this is a real theory that's coming to fruition, is like why CG looks worse now. It's because it's filmed digitally instead of on film.
I believe that.
Because CG apparently, for whatever reason, beyond stuff that I would understand, is a lot more easy to blend in onto film than it is onto digital stuff. And that's why those movies like that do have the CG, granted, it's also less CG. Unless it's fucking the prequels. But granted, it's less CG, so it just looks better. Because you can have a good mix. You can put CG into stuff, but if you just make practical stuff and then add a little CG to make it look a little bit better, that's like the sweet spot, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah. It's using both elements. You're never going to make a movie without one. You have to have both, I would think.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, you could do it without CG, but there's guarantee you there's going to be so many moments where you're in editing and you're like, God, how easy would it, like, how nice would it be to just add this in right there, just so it adds just something. It's like, it doesn't even need to look real, but the idea of it being there in frame is big. It's like, to just be able to straight up have a guy add something in frame is like, this is crazy. I can see like how the prequels ended up being such a, like, holy shit, what are we watching? This is like egregious, but it was the sign of the times.
I loved it when it came out. I still like it because
we were pushing towards tech. We were pushing towards special effects and things so heavy where George Lucas was like, why don't we just try and make like the whole movie like that? See what happens. It's definitely one of those like bridging the gaps.
And George Lucas did do that. He did crazy stuff for that, for tech and how movies are made with that.
And I think there are some movies that might have to bite the bullet in certain ways, but someone had to like go out and try it and put it on the big screen and be willing to like invest the money in, and it might not do as good as you thought. But then again,
well, the thing is, I think they did pretty well. They just weren't well received because it's still Star Wars.
You just have pissy. The Star Wars fans have always been the most like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, or this or that, and the canon and blah. I'm like, dude, we're so far in to so many plot lines and things. I don't know where we're at. I couldn't tell you what the canon is. I don't know enough.
Now it's come full circle to now it is acceptable to bitch, because I was never the person that would bitch and be that upset about Star Wars, but now it's at the point where it's like, oh, it's so fucked.
Like like The Acolyte? I didn't watch any of it. All I've heard is
Canceled right away.
just consistently bad, and then it's canceled after one
There was
season.
fun. There was fun stuff in there. It was fun to watch.
I only saw some clips. I saw like
Matt liked it a lot, apparently. That's what he told me. He's like, dude, I loved it. I was like, there was cool stuff in it, but the story made no sense, and it introduced really big things in Star Wars that should, in my opinion, not have been in that kind of show. Like it introduced one crazy, ridiculous thing that is like, I can't even begin to go down that hole or explain it, but it's just, and it's canceled now. So the giant thing that it introduced is just like gone now. So I'm like, all right, I don't really know where we're at or what we're doing here.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's always going to be people that might like the stuff too, and they're like, "Why did we get rid of that?" And there's going to be people on the other end who are like, "That's literally the worst thing I've ever seen."
Well, and clearly it was in the opposite of Matt camp because the show got canceled. The $180 million show or something.
Sorry, Matt. That's how you know.
I was reading I saw an Instagram post that was a meme of. Have you seen Godzilla -1?
Yes.
You have seen? Okay,
Fantastic.
How did you watch it?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, that's right. It's on Netflix. I'm gonna watch it. I want to talk about that next week because I
Really
keep forgetting
good.
about that. Yeah,
Really good.
the budget of that movie is $15 million. That means that every episode of Acolyte was double the budget of Godzilla -1.
That's so
or something like that.
That's painful to hear. And you'll watch Godzilla -1, and it's the same like what we're talking about. There will be times in the movie where you're like, "Oh, I can totally tell that's CGI," but never once was I like, "And the movie's worse for it."
Not taken out of it.
Yeah, I'm not taken out. It's a fucking Godzilla movie. How are you gonna do it in today's day and age? You could do the guy in the suit, but that's old.
Yeah,
we've
I'm
seen
done with
how
that.
that looks. So it's like, don't go practical, go big, go crazy. You can tell $15 million is put into every single second of that movie. Like they used the set so well, they used the CGI so well, the actual concept behind like it's really well regarded too, just because most Godzilla movies shaft the human characters and they get like the worst, most like boring plots
Nonsense
that you don't care about, and then all the Godzilla stuff is really cool. This is one of the first times in a while where it was like, oh, I actually like the human stuff. Like this is pretty dang interesting. They do a very like.
Did you see me just try to grab? I just tried to grab my phone to take notes because I wanted to put in Watch Godzilla -1, but we use my phone to record, and so I can't take notes.
It's a very, very like aware movie. It's doing like an anti-war message at the same time.
Yeah,
but in a really cool way.
Save it. We'll talk about it next week.
good.
I'll make sure to put in a note or send me a text or something to watch that.
I'll put it in my notes.
Yeah, put it in your notes because I do want to watch that one because that's one that I keep forgetting about.
Should be a quick watch. I think it shouldn't be.
It's short, right? I think it's only like an hour and a half.
I was gonna
hour
say,
40 maybe.
At most, I would think.
I think a movie that I think I might have watched this after we recorded the last podcast. I watched Land of the Lost.
Whoa,
The Will Ferrell one.
That's
Very random. So you talking about the guys in the suits made me think of that because
yeah,
Land of the Lost is one of those weird movies where I watched it as a kid and I was very confused because I just was obsessed with dinosaurs when I was a kid. So I was like, oh, there's a T-Rex in this. Let's go. And I went in and watched it. No idea what I was watching. I was like, this movie is so cheesy, so dumb, so stupid. They're fighting the lizard guys that are just wandering around like that. Super dumb. And then I watched it now. I'm like, oh, okay, I get this movie. Another one of those cases where like you watch something as a different person you can watch them the same movie in like for the first time, like
it's like
infinite times.
Every
As
like
you change and you
5
learn
to
more.
10 years, you could watch something.
And so I watched that as an adult just recently. Now I'm like, okay, this movie is hilarious. I actually really like this movie.
I haven't seen that in a minute,
dude. It was a very random one, but you talking about the suit guys made me think.
What are they called? Slee slacks or something? Like
I don't remember. I just remember Chaka and them tripping balls in the desert with the
because I think Land of the Lost, it was like an old TV show or something,
and it was serious.
Yeah,
because I was watching it with Dylan's brother. He was in the living room with me, and I was like, this was something like in the '60s, and that's why it was cheesy.
Yeah,
but it was a serious show. And so that's why it's funny that they're in the suit still in this movie while they got CG T-Rexes.
Weird concept. Let's take a serious show and make like a spoof movie off of it however many years later.
Yeah, not 40, 50 years later.
Definitely cash grabbing on the older generations. Like, oh, I could take my kids to go see the Land of the Lost movie? Nice. They should love this. And then the parents are just like, ha, remember the old dudes in the suit? They did the same thing here. So you can get away with a lot of that. And it'll be the same, I'm sure, when in 40, 50 years when we're probably still going to watch the 10th or like trilogies of Star Wars. And I'm like, God, and sadly to be like, God, remember when we were watching Rey and that was the bad stuff? That's what I worry about, is thinking further and further where we're like, I really hope that was the worst of it. I really don't want to go much worse. It can. It shouldn't.
If that far in the future, it could get better and then get worse.
Yeah, we could. Well, I think it'll always be this. There will always be
If they keep
peaks and
making it,
valleys.
yeah, if they keep making it, keep doing it, that's just how it's gonna go.
You'll have good times, and then like some directors who got it for like that 5 to 7 year maybe sweet spot, and they nailed all their movies or stuff, and then 10 years after it was all shit. 10 years after it
This
was
is
good.
shit.
So
One of the people we brought up because we were talking about some movies. I knew this one. Do you know Seth Rogen?
I'd say he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian. I actually did know that one. What movies do you think of when you think of Seth Rogen?
Pineapple Express.
Yep, that's the first one.
This Is the End.
Nice.
Is-
That's the both of them. It's Pineapple
Definitely.
Express and This Is the End.
Dude, This Is the End is one of the funniest movies
So good.
I've ever seen.
Channing Tatum.
I love that movie.
That's when Channing Tatum starts his amazing cameos. But also, by the way,
True.
Channing Tatum, one of the most underrated actors there is.
I love
He is
Channing
actually
Tatum.
fucking awesome. He is super funny. He can be serious and dramatic. He's talented, and he has he's so down for cameos, dude. He has a big cameo in Deadpool, which is
I've
hilarious.
already
You know,
definitely seen some of that.
of course, yeah. I forgot about the. Whoa! I'm gonna make my name for myself. Yeah, that's like the whole.
I've seen the
Channing
clips
Tatum
and
thing.
stuff of him being Gambit again now, but dude,
Sick. It's
21
fun.
and 22 Jump
So
Street,
great.
so good.
Yeah.
His comedy chops almost are like my
He's-
favorite.
Dude, Step Up is awesome. I used to love those movies when I
dang.
was because he's in the first. He's kind of in the second one, but he's not the main. He like has a cameo in the second one.
Can't say I've seen Magic Mike.
Yeah, I haven't
haven't.
seen Magic Mike either.
Not
but
that
I,
I'm
but
against it,
but
I
he-
just haven't had that moment to be like, I'm gonna watch Magic
he
Mike.
was a stripper or a dancer or something.
He
like,
was definitely
before
a model for
Yeah.
sure, and I would probably say he's a stripper. Maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
so that movie like works for him because of that stuff. But the dude can do it all. I think he
Yeah.
can even sing too. He can be dramatic. He can be funny.
Probably.
He can dance. He can do flips and shit. And yeah, Channing Tatum underrated.
If you can do flips, that's like an extra 2 points on your
Yeah.
case.
You know who Benson Boone is?
Benson Boone.
Newer artist, a little bit younger. He sings. I actually don't know the name of it.
Maybe.
Slow it down. What's the big one? I want you. I need you. Oh God.
Oh, I do know
That guy.
Yeah, okay.
He does flips and shit on stage. He just
Oh,
does,
really?
yeah, he's like 26 years old and just does side flips and just does backflips and shit on stage. I'm like, I want to go to one of this guy's
I
shows.
definitely have heard that.
He's
song.
dope. He's really good. But yeah, he has a couple of those super overplayed songs. It's
Like
too.
TikTok
yeah.
type thing.
Yeah. Is Elliot Page the trans girl?
Yeah,
trans guy?
used to be Ellie.
Yeah. So Elliot Page,
I would say American.
Canadian,
Ah,
star of Juno and the Umbrella Academy.
Juno's
Isn't-
so funny to
Dude.
think back on where he's at now and be like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. It's a lot.
Isn't that Michael Cera in that?
Yeah.
Michael Cera and do you call them by their name?
Elliot Page?
Do you still call them Elliot Page even if they were L Page? Back then?
Yeah, because it used Ellie Page, I think, was the girl,
Anyways,
and then now it's Elliot.
yeah. Anyways, Elliot Page. In
I
that
could
movie.
we'll get canceled just for what we said
That's
there
fine.
somehow,
That's okay.
and I don't know how.
Bring
but
it on.
We
Cancel-
tried.
All 4 dozen of you cancel it.
Four,
Cancel us.
4 dozens, even shooting high.
They're gonna be striking out the library. Cancel the podcast.
Shut this thing down.
But Umbrella Academy, isn't that an animated show on Netflix? It was a big deal when it came out, wasn't it?
I don't think it's animated, but it's a Netflix show.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
I think it's. I don't know
not-
anything other than like. Do they have superpowers of some sort, or do they have like powers?
I don't know anything about it. I know that it was
I-
popular.
I've only seen snippets online here and there, but I think it's just some regular just Netflix show that I literally could care less about.
There was some animated show on Netflix a few years back that was super popular. Oh, Love, Sex, and Robots, an anthology show that I didn't watch.
Also, something about that, the people who make that, one of the head guys, he's a big video game dude. I can't
Really?
think of his name. Gamescom. He came out and he announced a new show, and I'm pumped about it.
At
We're gonna
Gamescom, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch it. It's Secret Level, something like that. I can't remember the exact name, but I can look it up.
So did you watch all of Love, Sex, Robots?
Not all of it, but
watched some of it?
I've seen some of it,
Pretty
and I love animation. So it's like the best of the best animators that are out there putting out super high quality content, and they have now this new. It's all video game IP based, so it's same
Oh,
thing.
let's go.
It's an anthology where every episode will be a different IP. They have like Warhammer. I think I saw Pac-Man or something. Like the trailer just shows a bunch of different characters. All I know is looking at it, I was like, oh, I'm so in for like high budget people who are dead ass serious about these IPs doing like some story within the universe. That sounds so cool. And it like the little snippets they show look really good.
Does anthology mean? I know that anthology means different story, brand new story every episode. But does anthology also mean different animation every episode?
Not necessarily.
No, it doesn't, because the Star Wars one, What If, wasn't different animation.
I don't think that applies.
Did you
to
watch
the style.
Did I say Star Wars or Marvel?
Star Wars?
Okay, the Marvel one, same animation. The Star Wars one, did you watch that one?
I didn't even know there was.
There's a Star Wars anthology show that's actually awesome. I would recommend watching. And they're really short
What's
ones.
it
They're like 5.
called?
Star Wars Legends?
I've heard a little bit. I think my brother told me a little bit about this.
Every one of those are different animation styles.
Yeah.
That one's cool. I would recommend that, and they're really short.
It could be like that. I don't think anthology means that, but it totally could be, just because a lot of the animators, I'm sure, have their specific style that they like and are best at. And so it makes sense if you have I don't think it's the same team working on all of it. They probably have different teams working on every episode.
Yeah.
So there could be some vastly different changes in art style.
That's why the Star Wars one was cool.
Also, probably because of the game they're going to be doing. Like, I would. It's like if you did a Borderlands thing, I would expect it to look like Borderlands, cell shaded, comic booky, as opposed to Red Dead Redemption. Better look pretty dang realistic and very grounded. So I think
that sounds sick.
The trailer looks sick. You'll have to watch it. I'm pumped. I can't remember when. It might be this year, even like end of this year.
Fuck yeah!
But that'll be cool.
Okay.
As anyone who likes video games, I'm always down for this is the ideal, I think. Don't shove all your money into one show and be like, if this doesn't work, it'll never work. Like, it's okay to do a 30-minute to maybe an hour-long episode of something that's just set in the instance of the world to kind of feel it out. Be like, is this going to work? Or we have an idea that could work? Or you just like the IP enough to treat it with respect and not ruin it. Like, that's all I ask, is just don't put something in there that's
the way to do it.
Not it needs to be people who actually like this. I hope these people are people who have played the games and love the games. Therefore, what they're making is going to reflect that they love it, not that there seems like so many people at times, like the Borderlands movie, feels like there's people in there that were like, fuck this movie, fuck this game. Like,
really? Does it feel?
It's
so wait, did you watch it?
I watched maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
It feels like people said, fuck this.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I've never had a movie in a while where I was watching and I fully agree with what everyone's saying. There's bad movies that are fun to watch because they're so bad.
Cocaine Bear.
This is so bad, you have no emotion. You're literally just watching and you're just like, there's no up or downs. That's the only reaction you're going to have. And it is terrible. Oh, it's so hard to just be like, they're just introducing characters. I don't care who any of them are. Nobody looks like they want to be there. Nobody. Like, Cate Blanchett looks like she's having the worst fucking time as Lilith. And it just is so boring. For a game that the one thing I wouldn't call it is boring, this is the most boring thing I've ever watched on a screen. I'm literally just sitting here, and it's just every 5 minutes I'm like, oh my God. Just groaning and moaning and just wanting it to be over. It's brutal. Like, I at least want a movie where I can feel things, where I
I said, that's what makes a great movie.
The jokes.
That's why bad good movies are a thing. They still make you feel
jokes
something.
They're using, you literally are asking yourself, was I supposed to laugh at that? Like, you can't tell if it's a joke, but it's not serious. Like, they hit you with the classic, oh my God. I can't believe it's like saying it hurts. You're like, they find a bad guy and they're like, oh, you in what army? And she goes, the one right behind me.
No.
And they all pull up behind her. And it's just like, oh my God, we're really going to this level. Like, in 5 minutes of the movie, I don't know any of these characters and they're already trying to set up huge stakes like this. And it is just flat. It's bad.
Love it. Sounds like a good time.
Still might finish it just to try.
Let's move on to a next one here. I don't remember if I said this one or not because I skipped around a couple on them. Jennifer Lawrence, star of, actually, what comes to mind? There's one obvious answer.
The Hunger Games would be in there, but also Silver Linings Playbook.
Let's go, Cody. You're nailing these. Yeah, those are the two. Also, one of the movies I kind of saw recently, it was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, Silver Linings Playbook. I had always heard that movie was really awesome, and I watched it for the first time. I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought this movie was. I don't know what I thought it was, but going into it, I'm like, oh, these are two people with mental issues and real stuff going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of fucked up and weird things happen, and it's just them building their relationship. And I'm like, these are two great actors between Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. And I was like, this is really awesome. I actually really like Jennifer Lawrence And
off their chops.
I'm gonna go back and watch the Hunger Games movies again because I don't think I appreciate another thing that watching them. I'll basically be watching for the first time again because I didn't realize how they're better than I thought they were. Because I found this YouTube channel of a guy who watches movies condensed and it's just him recording and reacting. It's just him watching it. It's like a 10-minute video, but it's him watching the whole movie and him getting reactions of him watching certain things.
Hit the highlights.
Yeah, and I watched him watch all of the Hunger Game movies. And him breaking them down and going through the beat by beat, like the epic things and the major moments that happen in the stories and him talking about them, and me watching and reacting to it because I haven't seen those movies in a decade. I was like, oh, the Hunger Games is like fucked up. And like they actually do a pretty good job at portraying it in these movies. And I just didn't understand that as a kid. I thought it was just going to be, I didn't understand the inner workings and the in-depth of like the districts and the politics and all that stuff.
You never read the books?
No, I read the first book.
Okay.
I think in high school, I read the first book.
Oh, we read it in what's her name's class?
Yeah, I don't remember whose, but yeah, I read it there.
What's her name?
Gumkeys?
God, it was
Yeah,
Miss Gumkeys.
yeah, it was Gumkeys class.
We also talked hella Breaking Bad.
Yeah, we did a lot of that's when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time too. But so I watched those back then, and I don't think I appreciated just how dystopian. There's like a way deeper message, and I just really watched them on a surface level as like, oh, we're fighting and we're going to take over the government or whatever. And there's a way deeper message of dystopian and how it ends, and it ends up being like, oh, it's just another person that wants power who is going to take over the person that wants power. It's just an infinite cycle. So she kills her, and I'm like, oh, and District 13 being this war thing that they lied about and the politics and the propaganda. I was like, oh, this shit is cool. So I want to go back and watch it again because I watched way too long of a title. The Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, I think, is what it was called. The Hunger Games movie that came out like in last December.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know that existed until it was out.
You should watch it. It's good.
Is it off another book that came out?
Yes. The Battle of Songbirds and Snakes.
I only read the original Hunger Games, so
it's
I know
about
those.
It's about Snow as a kid and how he kind of becomes Snow.
Oh,
and it's really interesting because he's like a really good guy, and then it kind of shows his descent. But it was good, and I was like, oh, this movie is actually really dope. I'm like, I watched that guy on YouTube recently. I think I should go back and watch the Hunger Games movies because I think I might get a whole different message from him.
The Hunger Games movies were pretty damn good. The biggest gripe I have for any of them is like the first movie's reliance on shaky cam is atrocious. It ruins some of the action, but the whole overall story is actually pulled off really well. Like the big moments of the big deaths of like people in the games, but like hitting the notes that needed to hit, they actually pulled it off surprisingly well. I remember Catching Fire, the second movie. After reading the book, I was so excited for when that was going to be a movie because that was probably my favorite of the books. Just the ending where it's like, we're breaking out of the fucking games. I remember reading it as a kid. I was like, this is sick. I was like, let's go. Like,
and now she has no idea. But now you see the seeds, and I've watched clips of it before, and I'm like, oh, I didn't. Because when I watched it the first time, I had no idea what was going on. It was like, why are there these teams? Why are they helping? Why are they doing these certain subtle things? And I'm like, oh, it's all a plan for them to help her and stuff. And I was like, I didn't pick up on that when I was young.
The elongated plan to actually see it come to fruition through those movies is awesome. I still also think breaking up the last movie into two different parts is like,
I always hate that because it's the Harry Potter thing too. My least favorite Harry Potter movie is Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Part 1.
I fell asleep twice trying to watch that for the first time. I appreciate it more now, again, being older. I appreciate it more now, and I see what's building and how they build for the last movie. Because when I was younger, all I wanted to see was the action. I was Matt when I was younger.
And I agree and
I get that
the part 1 is all build up of like, and Harry Potter is one of the few movies that gets away with like, we need all the details that we can get in here at the very end. Like we have to put it all. I agree with that. Hunger Games, it was like, do we really have to break the like? That's where it gets into the money.
Giant.
It's Harry Potter was the one where you're like, this isn't for money. Like we have to, if we want to get this story and nail the ending, it has to be 2 parts. Every movie past that's tried, it seems like you could have done it in 1. You probably could have done it in 1. Or you could have fixed up the other 2, like prior things, or like fit stuff in there. So we're not having to just cash grab 2 different movies for the ending. Yeah. But The Hunger Games kicks ass. The plot lines are sick. The actual, like, the districts being, District 12? Is that what she is or something?
That's the one she is. District 13 is the bombed weapons one.
Yeah, and them just being like, basically slaves. Like they live in poverty. It's like a third world country compared to the other places where they have normal, healthy, like lavish lifestyles. And then I've always thought the idea of sponsors in the games is cool. How you have people that
many cool ideas, so many cool
send
concepts.
You gifts and things and like whatnot, and then leading into. I remember even as a kid reading the ending and being like, I had to read it through a few times.
Of the first one or of all of it?
The ending of the last book where she ends up taking not Snow.
Yeah.
The other person. I remember reading that, and even in my head as a kid, I was like, oh, she killed Snow. But then I like reread it, and I was like, oh my God, no, she didn't. Oh shit, no, she didn't. Like, I had to reread it multiple times. Like, my comprehension with reading is also garbage. I have to reread stuff. But
Yeah, me too.
I had totally bought in and was like assuming, yeah, we just kill him and it's over, right? And then they kind of hit like one of my first moments as a kid of like, oh, the bigger picture is if we did that, it would be the same thing. We'd do the same thing again. It would it's just a circle. The next person goes in power, gets greedy, uses it in ways they shouldn't. We kill them off. Whoever killed them off gets into power, becomes greedy. It does the same thing again.
Did you watch Attack on Titan?
I haven't finished it, but I think as far as I know, the last 2 things I have to watch are like the movies.
You have the movie ones.
And I think I've seen everything though up to that.
You should try to do that so we could talk about that. It's a
I
lot.
do
It's like almost 3 hours in the
Yeah.
last 2 episodes. I think because I think it's 2.5. Because I think it's like 2 hours and 1 hour.
I think so.
Which
is like the amount of like 10 to 15 episodes.
People do not like the ending of that show.
Really?
I thought it was cool, but you should watch it and we could talk about that because that
I'll have to.
I won't say anymore.
Yeah,
But
I'll watch that. Actually, that's what I'll do this week. Then I'll put that down.
That shit was cool. But one other thing I wanted to say about the Hunger Games. Well, 2 other things. What I was going to bring up, Jennifer Lawrence. I just didn't realize her range and like how good of an actress she is because she can be funny, she can be dramatic as fuck, she can do everything. Her in Passengers is awesome. I actually even like her in X-Men when she's Mystique.
She was hot.
Yeah, very hot.
Very hot. Mystique.
Hunger Games is awesome, but Silver Linings Playbook, along with a different kind of drama. Hunger Games is a different kind of drama than Hunger Games, than Silver Linings Playbook. So she's just really awesome. Another thing I wanted to say real quick was just that, I don't know why my mind was dwelling on this, is that I really did not like Catching Fire, the second one, when I first watched it, because I was ignorant and I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, we just watched the same movie and then they broke out again? Because to me, it was just like, oh, we're going in the Hunger Games again.
It could feel
and we
like
fight
that.
in there. And that's how it felt for me when I was a kid. Yeah. Being older now, watching it, I say a kid, but I was probably like 15 or whatever when that came out. But being older now,
it's like over 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. But being older now and watching it again, I'm like, oh, this is way deeper and there's way more to this. Because again, like I was talking about before, not realizing why people were helping her or why there were teams and why they were like sacrificing themselves for her. I just thought everybody was being a dumbass and I didn't know what was going on. And then
why the fuck would they risk their lives?
Yeah,
You
like
just
these
died. You
dumbass-
don't get
yeah.
to come back.
Yeah, and now watching it, I'm like, oh, this is like laying the seeds, and like it's what good storytellers and book writers and stuff do, is laying the seeds.
It was
for
the
in
inevitable. They had to.
Yeah.
Someone had to be put in as the martyr, basically. And whether or not Katniss wanted to, she takes it upon herself to be it and fully assumes it. And you have to have the backing of everyone around you in order for this to work. I can't even think of his name. The guy, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I love his role in that. He plays like the overseer kind of thing, where the first movie you're like, ooh, he's a mean guy, he's a villain, and then the second movie you're like, oh shit, he's the in man, he's the good guy.
More parallels to Harry Potter. Snape.
Yeah,
He's a Snape type character. It's not the same level.
Never, yeah,
it's not even close to the same level, but
one
same
of the
idea.
One of the few it's like you can't even call him a villain because he's just a mean guy because he feels like he has to be so off-putting to Harry. But like pulled off, if you can do 8, 9 movies, how many? I don't remember. How many books?
It's 8 because there's 7 books.
Okay, 8 movies, and actually have what is a real true arc of a character that's like, the seeds are there. He's trying to pull this off, and when you get the reveal of why he is the way he is, it's just like, oh,
yeah, it's heart-wrenching.
Oh man, this guy got the short end of the stick, honestly, by like a lot of people, and had to just keep his mouth shut.
We should get Tanner in here to have a Harry Potter episode.
Dude, I mean, I'm always down to watch Harry Potter.
That'd be sick.
I haven't watched him in a while, so I can always do that.
Let's try. Oh, we only have one more.
Oh,
Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, she's in Beetlejuice, isn't she?
She's in Beetlejuice. She's also in Schitt's Creek.
That's right. That's the big thing. I'd say
Beetlejuice 2. That's one of the ones that I wanted to see before I came here because I've never seen Beetlejuice.
I've seen Beetlejuice. I can't say I'm like
Home Alone. Also, forgot about that one.
Yeah,
that's
she's
what
the
she's
mom.
known for. At least what it says in here: Schitt's Creek and Home Alone.
That makes sense. I'd say she's actually Canadian.
She's Canadian. Yeah. I think you got the majority of those. I think you did. I think you got more than half.
50-50.
Good job, Cody.
Good odds.
But yeah, that was one thing I wanted to bring that up in here too because I just didn't end up having the time with the short week and getting back and stuff. I didn't get to a movie in theaters, but I wanted to watch Beetlejuice and then I wanted to watch Beetlejuice. That's what it's called. Is it called?
It's
it's not called Beetlejuice 2.
You can call it that.
I
but-
know.
I think it's Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to watch those because kind of funny that YouTube, kind of funny. Anyways, they're doing they did an interview series of Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice always freaked me the fuck out. That's why I've never watched it when I was a kid. That's why I never watched it. I was really scared of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that the Jack Skellington freaky?
Yeah, I love that
gangly
movie.
guys. Hated that, so I never watched that. I remember being terrified of it when I was like
Love that
6,
movie,
and I'd have my mom sit in my room with me because I wouldn't go to sleep. I was too scared. I remember that very distinctly.
He's a scary skeleton.
Yeah, I think I was 5 or 6.
Mr. Oogie Boogie Man is also very scary.
Yeah, so I've never watched that either. I don't think. And then the other one was Beetlejuice. I remember seeing trailers and commercials for that on TV when I was younger, and being like, I don't ever want to see that. I don't like this guy's tiny head. I don't like the way this guy looks. I don't like the way the vibe and everything of this.
It's not like for kids by any means. It's definitely got.
Apparently,
like,
it's a little bit scary.
It's got definitely moments where as a kid,
it's a weird comedy horror.
It hits that line of like this just kind of hit like. I don't know, the puppets that they're using and just some of the shock factor is different where you're like, as a child, it's just like, I haven't seen this before.
Tim
What
Burton.
is that?
It's Tim Burton when Tim Burton's really good.
He does like the best creepy. Tim Burton is Tim Burton. If you don't know if you can't picture something when I say Tim Burton, you just got to watch more because it's like his own genre he has basically.
Yeah. And so I wanted to watch Beetlejuice and then go see the second one because apparently it's pretty good and unique and different and weird. I'm like, okay, this is again. Like I've said probably 5 times in this podcast now, something that I would probably appreciate being older and see totally different. Yeah. Even though I haven't actually seen them. But so I wanted to watch those and talk about those before I came in here, but I kind of missed that. But Catherine O'Hara being brought up there just kind of reminded me of that.
I mean, all I did was I told you I rewatched a classic, Kung Pao Enter the Fist. To anyone who doesn't know that or has no clue, you have to watch it.
I've heard of it.
You just have to.
I know
It's
of it.
not even, you may, like I told you, you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. You might think it's the single stupidest movie you've ever seen, but I'm telling you now, if you watch that and don't laugh at least once, it's you. It's not, you're the problem.
You're a little bitch.
There has to
You're a
be at
little
least one moment that makes you laugh, and not just like haha laugh. Like I get belly laughs from moments in this movie, unlike any other movie. Then again, I watched it when I was like 7, so I have a ton of nostalgia from being a kid. But
it's not a comedy. It's like a serious kung fu action
no,
movie,
it's
right?
a comedy.
Oh, it is?
It is spoofing off
Really?
of those. Like that's half the funniness. Is it's overdubbed poorly on purpose. Like you can watch
Really?
old like kung fu movies and like they're talking, but it's almost not perfectly synced up.
Yeah.
They do that
Like our YouTube
times
video?
10.
Like our podcast.
Yeah, they do that. Like you'll watch someone literally go, "Hey man, how's it going?" And
it's like 2 seconds.
his mouth will be closed, and then they do the whole line just on purpose to be like it's bad overdubbed. They green screen the main character. Like they're taking a real kung fu movie and they green screen out the main character and put in just this American dude over the top.
Really?
Yeah, and they just do an entirely different movie on top of it, and it's making fun of all the different like cliches and tropes of a kung fu movie and whatnot. But it is one of the most quotable, some of the most one-liners, some of the most I still quote it to this day, lines that just on a daily basis.
Is it really short?
Hour 30, hour 45 at most. It's and it flies by. There's no when I say there's a story, there really isn't. They're just they're mishmashing an old movie and just editing and cutting to different parts, and like they reverse part of the movie to get him
This
out
sounds
of
so chaotic. Of a movie.
it is chaos. That is what it is. It's chaos, and I cannot recommend it more to
Really?
everyone. And it's like, it's one of those things, I don't even care if you hate it. I'd love to have a conversation just to see the person's reaction. I get a kick out of seeing someone be like, and this part, and it's like, they're recalling it. And I'm like, you remembered though. You remember that part pretty well. So
What the hell made you watch that?
we were talking about it on the way back from Banff. Me and Sewell were talking.
Oh, okay.
And he, funny enough, I always bring it up where I'm like, have you seen this? And he has to remind me, my dumbass, every time. He's like, yes, you showed me that movie back in high school.
Oh, that's going to be happening a lot with
And
us.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. But he's one of the few people that I remember being at like Jessica's house and had a ton of us. I'm like, we got to watch this movie, guys. We
At
have
Jessica's house?
Yeah, I was like, we have to watch this when I got a group of us here. And it was probably like a 50-50. Half the group was like, then why did we just waste our time watching that? Half the group was like me and Sewell was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, Thank you. I know. It's awesome.
Somebody believes
like
me. Somebody's on the same page.
And it's one of those movies where I bring up Andrew, who I play music with. He's seen it, and we quote it. It's like when you find someone else in the real world, and I make a quote, and someone else recognizes it. I'm like, we're like, there's a special group. Step
brothers. Did we just become best friends?
Dude, it feels like that. You're like, there's a tight-knit group of us, Kung Pao, enter the fist lovers out there.
Let's go.
And I need another one. And weird enough, the guy who's doing his name's Steve Odekirk. He's like a main head on Jimmy Neutron. He was like a big Nickelodeon dude for like big shows, and then also does really weird offshoot comedy stuff.
Yeah, that's very weird. It's super random.
But it's could not recommend it more to anyone who hasn't seen it. Or if you have, you know you can rewatch it anytime.
You know the vibe.
It's like I may have seen that movie more than any other movie.
So is that like a mid-70s thing?
Nope, 2002.
Really?
Early onset like CGI stuff too. It's pretty funny to watch. Like, oh, this is early CGI.
That's when Attack of the Clones came out, I think.
And funny enough, there's a literal reference to that at the very end where they talk about like in the sequel, and they show there's no sequel, but part of it is they literally show the Clone Wars moment where all the droids are going over the hill.
Do they?
And it just shows him, and he's like looking, he's like, and he just starts like counting them, and then it cuts off. That's it.
Okay. I might have to check this out. I was picturing something totally different in my head when you first brought this up, of like a 1975 kung fu.
Don't watch any trailers. Don't even watch a clip. I don't like. It's a movie where I don't want you to know any of the jokes prior. I don't even want you to have an idea. You just start it up, and you just gear up for what's about to happen. It's out the gate. You're gonna be like, what am I watching?
Good. All right. I'm excited for it. The last thing I kind of want to talk about, because we didn't watch any new shit really. That's kind of why I made the little trivia thing. I thought it sounded fun, and that's going to happen sometimes. But luckily, obviously, we can just kind of riff, so it's pretty easy. I want to talk about just because I think if we can get this in, we'll talk about it next week. But I want to talk about what you thought, because I don't know your opinion, what you thought about the first season of Rings of Power. Because what we were going to do is we were going to get caught up on Rings of Power, and then we were going to come in and talk a little bit about those episodes. Because I actually really enjoyed the first season of Rings of Power. I know a lot of people did not like it. I get it. That's fine. Whatever. I thought it was cool. It was fun to watch. It was coming out at the same time as House of the Dragon, so it's a lot to compare it to. But I want to know what you think about it, so then we can go in and talk about the second season, the first few episodes next time.
It's been a little bit since I've watched it.
Again, I don't remember a ton of it.
It's
also
2 years, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I think it's been Rings of Power. 2 years, but I did watch all of at least season 1. It's not. It's easy for me to want to shit on it. Yeah, that's for sure. Of course. It's easy for me to want to, and so I don't really want to right now. It's entertaining. I think it'll always be compared to the movies, which is just not really fair.
That's always the problem with making something like this. Same with Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action show.
You're gonna get compared to what is already considered like top of the mountain for me. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy is by far one of, if not the best trilogy, or some of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
So I'm already coming in biased, probably, where I'm like,
I don't fucking want to
like, I don't
shit out of my
I don't
face.
want to like this. Nothing could beat it. But I do think it's got a lot going for it. Clearly, the budget. Like, I think what makes me more mad is knowing what the budget is, and then what gets put on the screen doesn't feel like it equates. I'm like, it feels too clean at times. Definitely, there's some of that cleanliness where I'm like, that fakeness at times. I think that's just production value. That's just at times like the sets we're in just feel a little fake.
They shouldn't with that budget.
I think that's where it gets frustrating. Is you're like, you have this amount of money, $1 billion, and you're telling me you got to use like what feels like green screen backgrounds at times, but it's not that bad. That's me over dramatizing it and over exaggerating it.
Yeah.
It just hurts knowing that they have what should be the most money for any TV show ever conceived, and it doesn't feel like that. That's hard. So it's still entertaining. When they go into plot lines with more of the like, I don't know, the one girl and the kid.
The Harfoots.
And like the pre-Hobbit stuff is
I forgot about the girl with the kid.
That like some of that I'm like, shows these days just love to drag stuff along that doesn't need to be dragged on.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I get it. There you have the elf, the black elf guy, this chick, and the guy and the kid. It kind of seems like the kid is probably theirs, but they haven't said it yet. Either way, whatever this plot line is within season 1, it's like, let's get going. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Come on. I got it. There's other things I could be seeing that feel way cooler. All the stuff with the orcs, usually I love.
It was awesome.
Because the orcs are definitely practical too, where they clearly are
Yeah.
getting all the actors in full costume and like done up like they used to be, which I think goes so far. Just go watch The Hobbit. The orcs look a lot
The
different.
CG works.
You'll notice it. In the Battle of the Five Armies, the CGI in the end was just like atrociously over the top.
Remember the dwarf riding the hog or ram or whatever? That is
Yeah.
full CGI. It's not a real person.
You can totally tell.
I was like, this is...
Like you can tell.
It was bad when we watched it.
Yeah.
So it's bad now, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's brutal to know, and it's like that. I wish we'd tread the line more. I will say, like, I haven't watched season 2 yet, but even me and my brother see pretty similarly with Rings of Power, and he's watched at least the first. I think there's 3 episodes, and he was like, it started out rough. He's like,
Really?
He's like, I was not feeling it. It was boring. I felt like whatever we're watching just doesn't matter, and I just didn't care. He's like, but it did. He said it. He felt like it was getting better though.
And it did that in 3 episodes. That's good.
So he was like, I gotta say, at least it wasn't getting worse. It started maybe rough, but it felt like it was getting more to, oh, I actually care about what we're watching, and it's actually feeling even more Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Sick.
So I think that's my biggest gripe is watching Rings of Power feels nothing like watching Lord of the Rings.
No, it feels like I'm watching something different.
It just feels
with
completely,
tie-ins.
very, very different. And that's not to say it's bad. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea kind of thing. Clearly people are enjoying it and they love it. They wouldn't put this much money in and they wouldn't keep going. But I think I just struggle with just some of the TV shows these days are wasting time. It's like like House of the Dragon's an easy comparison where it's like we got to the end of season 2 and I'm like, I was really enjoying this, but the way that this ended made
You
me
had to do something.
almost hate this now.
You had to do something.
Yeah, it's
you
like
cannot leave us that dry in a...
we just got drugged through the mud like for the whole season.
We got one fight.
Just to get one fight. In all honesty, it was 5 to 10 minutes and it was done.
And it was awesome.
It was a great, but like Battle of the Five Armies is like a 30-minute spectacle.
Yeah.
Like, and that maybe is the bad comparison.
Yeah,
of
that's a
battle,
movie,
but like
end of the series, all that stuff.
it's like
but I know what you mean.
it's same thing. The Battle of the Bastards.
Yes.
That's the same thing where you're like, we just got this one of the best battles I've ever seen on a screen, let alone a TV show.
The Battle of Bilgewater Bay or whatever. With the green fire.
Blackwater Bay.
Blackwater Bay. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
So many cool things going on. And that's season 2, I'm pretty sure.
Season 2 or 3. It's in the beginning.
Early. That's early Game
Yeah.
of Thrones. We were already in the shit. And it's like, we are still not in the shit yet.
No.
Why are we not in the shit? For 2 seasons now? It's like...
It didn't have to be
oh.
something epic. We didn't need to actually have them clash,
No.
but we needed some fight or something
Literally,
a bit more. They took
one
over
more.
one small castle.
One more thing.
There was one battle over a small castle, and that was it.
And so that I feel like emanates to so many TV shows I've been watching these days. And again, Rings of Power and House of the Dragon being out at the same time.
Similar
both
high fantasy
stuff. It's easily comparable.
Very popular IPs.
But it's like, I'm going to watch Rings of Power, and I'm probably going to be comparing it still to like House of the Dragon, where at least House of the Dragon, I'm going to be mad about because of how it ended with season 2. I'm sure once the show's all out and I can binge it, yeah, it'll be a better experience. Doesn't discount the fact that I'm mad about how this ended. But I bet I'll still look back at House of the Dragon and say, I like this more. I love the actors in House of the Dragon.
So
I
good.
love
They're all so
the
good.
sets look awesome.
It feels like an HBO show still.
It definitely feels like
Yeah.
an HBO show.
They just dragged us along. That's all.
It feels like it got dogged by the writers.
Yeah.
Rings of Power at times is just like, why am I even watching this? Do I care? Maybe I'm just being bitter. That's where it's like I have to watch the season 2 to really gauge how I feel about it and try
That's
to
how
go
things
in,
are when you like them.
try to go in very unbiased if I can and just take it for what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's still entertaining. That's the thing. It's not like I'm saying I'll never fucking watch that ever.
No,
Because
you're just
that's
mad because
not-
you like it and you
Yeah.
want to see more of it and you want to see something happen.
Yeah.
So that's where the passion and
Yeah.
quote unquote anger comes from.
Yeah,
It's
it-
just liking something
It's
and wanting to
knowing
see something happen.
knowing what I've seen that looks so good.
Yeah.
In the universe, in this
Seeing the one
isn't.
fight that we saw that was sick.
And it's like, and we're just not getting there. It's always like, oh, well, don't worry. Episode 9 will be better, though. Well, why did episodes 1 through 8 have to suck for episode 9 to be good? I hate that. That's how a lot of TV feels is like, well, if we just drag them on along until we hit like the battle or that moment or the pull the rug out from under you, we'll have everyone locked in for the rest of the show. And it does not matter. It's
Yeah.
like we have to hit there needs to be development. There needs to be characters. There needs to be arcs. It's like Damon and Harrenhal. The arc went from shitty to just shitty. Like he didn't even have a come up.
It went from shitty to nothing.
The kid in that one instance had the come up moment. He
dogged
him and actually made him look like a pussy. And it's Damon's best moment in the whole season. It's like, ouch, it hurts.
It kind of makes, going back to Rings of Power, it kind of makes me more, Rings of Power is probably, if they pull it off and just make it okay, it's going to look a lot better. When you compare these shows side to side, it's going to look a lot better because of House of the Dragon being a quote-unquote letdown. You know, it's just build up, still really good show and season and all that stuff. But with Rings of Power coming, it's going to be, they're already sitting in the driver's seat, which is nice, and I think it's exciting because, again, like I said, I liked the show and I'm excited to watch more of it. And what was so cool about I like season 1 a lot too. Again, also did not feel as real and as much of a spectacle as it should, which is weird to say because it does feel like a spectacle and it does feel very huge. But having that caveat of knowing that it's the most expensive TV show made of all time and having that in the back of your mind, you're like, I still feel like this should look better, even though it does look good.
It hurts. It hurts itself almost.
Yeah, but seeing Numenor is fucking awesome. I love the armor of everybody in the show is sick. Like you said, with the orc, that whole plot line was really dope. I was wondering the whole season. This show is a good example of me watching it the whole season, a lot like kind of you're just talking about with Game of Thrones. While I'm watching it the whole season, I'm like, oh, this show's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. And then you get to, I don't know if it's a combination of the second to last episode and the last episode, or if it's just the last episode. I don't remember. But when you figure out everything, you figure out about Sauron, and then you figure out that they are digging these holes to this volcano to let out the lava to create the black smoke that creates Mordor. And I remember that happening in the show, and I'd be like, okay, I'm fucking in. This is sick. Let's go. And I was super excited. So that is what led me into, because me changing my mind to being like, I think the first season was good instead of fine. Because of the way that it ended and how it paid off. And that's the way to do it right. You know, House of the Dragon should have had something to pay off at the end of this. It did not. Just build off. In the second season, too. I know the show's supposed to be shorter, so that kind of changes stuff, but it's early. But anyways.
Yeah, I agree. That's not it's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out. But yeah, with Rings of Power, I'm pretty excited for the second season. There was something else that I wanted to say about it, but I can't remember what it was. Lost my train of thought, but anyways, it should be fun. Do you have anything else to say?
Not when you ask me that question.
I know.
Yeah, not anymore.
That's fine. That's totally fine. It's time to end anyways, because I got to get this thing all taken out and get out of here and go watch the WCU game, baby. Thank you guys for tuning in. We actually got a decent amount of views on the first video, so hopefully we can keep that up.
Stay loyal.
Yeah, stay loyal. All 4 dozen of you. So again, give me a like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you've been watching, anything that you like. Just give me feedback for me, not for Cody. Cody hates feedback. Don't ever give him feedback. Give me all the feedback. Let me know what you think. I know I had the camera a little bit off last time. It was bugging me. It probably didn't bother any of you, but it bothered me. So that being said, have a good rest of your day.
So long.
Yeehaw, brother.